a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, guys, what is up? Welcome, everybody, to episode number 300. Yes, episode 300 of Sports Cards Live. It is Saturday night, January the 24th, 2026. My name is Jeremy Lee. Everybody, before we get into it and dive in, a few announcements. Shout out a few of the channel sponsors who've helped get us here to episode 300. If you are thinking about adding a grail to your collection, check out Fund Your Cards, the hobby's top consolidator. They will help you finance your high-end purchases using your own cards. Visit fundyourcards.com and explore their proprietary client platform. If you're looking to sell your vintage collection, check out Leighton Sheldon at Just Collect. He offers competitive and transparent valuation and payment processes and would love to speak with you. He'll be joining us later tonight. Email leighton@justcollect.com. And guys, check out Chronosio with a K. Chronosio, the ultimate card inventory manager for collectors and dealers. Their AI autofill is over 90% accurate with a fully integrated eBay connection, trusted since 2017 and used to list and sell millions of cards. Whether you manage 1,000 cards or 250,000 cards, Chronosio scales with you. They are now offering flexible pricing and an annual plan where you pay for 10 months and you get 12. Elevate your inventory management at home.chronosio.com. And guys, the Front Row Card Show is in Pasadena, California on January 31st to February 2nd. 540 table show. That's like their LA show. Visit frontrowcardshow.com for more show dates and locations. And join my card post, the only no selling fee subscription-based marketplace, and use the SCL ambassador code that is down below in the video description. All right, we're going to do a few more of those a little bit later. But first, and I want to welcome everybody. If you're watching on Instagram, I see Terp, I see Papa Wax, Cardaholics. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Cardaholics. Bobby says, congrats on 300. Guys, come on over to YouTube. That's where the fun is. That's where the chat is. And that's where I will be watching the comments come. Let's bring out a guy who's been with the show for over, listen, we're almost at 6 years here. I think Joe's been either watching or on this channel with me. God, he's almost been a 5-year regular on the show. Let's bring him out. There he is. What's up, buddy?
What is happening? And congratulations, Jay Lee, on 300 episodes. That is quite a watershed mark.
It's pretty cool, man. 300 of the Saturday night show. A lot of people might not know this, but for the first 8 months of the show, I was doing them Wednesdays and Saturdays. And then we went to just Saturdays. So we're at 300. We're almost 6 years going here. There's been over 500 other shows on the channel. So we're well over 800 total live streams. But of the Saturday night show and the old Wednesday, we're at episode 300 here tonight. So it's kind of exciting, man. I'm pretty happy to be able to announce that. It's a big number. We don't really have anything special planned tonight for it. I know at the 3-year anniversary of the episode of the show, we did a lot, but or even of the channel. But we're just gonna have a fun show, a fun conversation. Leighton will join us a little bit later. And then, of course, Chris and Josh will also be joining us earlier than usual, by the way. Let's go to the chat, Joe, and then we're gonna jump into, I think, one of your big story. But Laura, good evening. Welcome. Jacob Dahl, Confluence, Orlando, Pursuit, MCM, Jay Peterman, Called Shots, Yankees fan, Rob Star. Episode 300, Pursuit, thank you so much. Tony at Southern Color. So before we went live, I hear Joe is literally singing the Tony jingle. I'm like, that's going to be stuck in my head all night. Reverie, what's going on? Shelter from the polar vortex. There you go. Rex Cards, love the 5-hour that we went hard on the Fanatics show. Welcome. This Rex Cards is Jonathan from last week, actually. Welcome back. Chris C. Hello. Thank you, Laura. Pigeon Racing. Jayhawker. Hope everyone's doing well in the Arctic freezes out there. Hoops Hobby Hangout is here. Welcome, welcome. Dave Snyder, welcome. Brad's Vintage. Chris C, we are witnessing Jeremy Lee's 300th win. Oh, there you go. We'll take it. Not a hospital bed. That's good, Dave Snyder. Fina Fitness from Vancouver. Oh, that's Hanif. Welcome, welcome. MG, what's going on? The chat is where it's at, says Orlando. Brad's Vintage. It's Shark Week in Joe's World. Yes, sir. Thank you, MG. Thank you, AKB. Thank you, E105. From Skyscraper Live to Sports Cards Live. What an evening. That's great. Linda's first. What is happening? Philippelli is here. The Cardboard Corner. Thank you. Thank you. Stooks, good to see you from Fargo, North Dakota. Jeff McMahon, thank you very much. Foul Ball, Terp, Mookie, 300, a killer movie, a perfect bowling score, and an amazing episode milestone for Jeremy and friends. Thank you very much, Mook. BWS is present. The Sports Card Professor is here. Jerry Hotch, Muzzletov, thank you. Sonny Christensen, thank you, Tony, very much. Terp, it's crazy cold in the East Coast, 9 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Wow. Snowing in wintry North Carolina, says MCM. Hobby Champs, more cowbell is the t-shirt you were wearing in the first. Oh, is it is that the t-shirt I was wearing in the first episode? My more cowbell shirt. I don't know if I have that anymore. Hilarious. Quick announcement though, everybody, please. Rage is in the building. Sport a cut. What's up, Jim Shaw? Chris C. Just get a cake with 300 candles and hockey cards. I'm all for that. Yes, Junk Wax Heroes, episode 300 here, the flagship show, guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining tonight and every night, really, from all the years in the past. This is what a ride, Joe. But you came on with me first. I think it was after the virtual expo, maybe an episode of After Hours. I mean, we used to do, but before this was a 3-hour show, we used to do After Hours after the regular show. And I think you came on several of those with me. Craig's Cards, what's going on? So why don't we, I'm going to start a couple things. First, I want to thank Dr. James Beckett. He had me on his podcast. He's dropped 2 episodes with me in the last few days. I haven't listened to them. I do listen to my episodes with him, so I will. But thank you to Dr. Beckett for having me on his podcast. If you're not listening to his podcast, you should. He puts out great content basically every day. I also, just an update on the book, Pops and Comps. It's going to be out, if not by the end of next week, the week after. It's like, it's done. I had to fix a few consistencies in terms of some internal reference formatting, but that's all going to be done by tomorrow. And cover will be done Monday, Tuesday, and then it's up. And then it's make sure just let Amazon approve it, and then it's ready to publish and print and sell. So excited about that. And then I want to do just a real quick update, guys, on Hobby Spectrum, because I'm excited that finally got a logo. There was no logo really, and I'm gonna quickly tell you the story about the logo, if I may, and I'm gonna show it to you as well. So originally, when you were on Hobby Spectrum, if you saw it, if you weren't in there yet, it just was a generic. It said it was a blue square with the letters HS. It was kind of auto-generated, I think. I thought it's kind of good enough. It's kind of good enough. But and then I did try to source some logos. I had a few options designed, but nothing really hit with me, and I wanted to really feel it. But then what I did was I created the profile picture for the Instagram account. And to do that, all I did was take a snapshot of the directory, the Spectrum directory, and use that. And that's what inspired the logo. So listen, I'm excited about it because I feel like it finally has an identity. But the cool thing about the logo for Hobby Spectrum is that it came about organically. It's not like a logo was produced and like sort of just slotted in there. The logo came from the website itself, which I just thought was really cool. So I'm going to share it with you guys. And listen, it's not mind breaking or anything. It's just kind of fun. But here it is right here. Oh, it's small, but there it is. That's what we're doing. It's the grid with the colors that represent the different archetypes and the simple words, Hobby Spectrum. And there's the stacked version of it. So that's it. But it's done, and it came out of the Hobby Spectrum itself. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Joe, there it is. There it is. I mean, listen, like I said, it's not mind blowing, but it's it's done. And it, again, it came out of the site itself. And I'll actually here, I'm gonna show you guys the site now. Got to do that, and I got to just reshare here. This will just take a sec. Right there. All right. So here's what that logo is inspired by. Is these are the profile tiles that, you know, everybody who's in here, like this guy Ron Weber, there's all of his social links. So instead of just a screenshot of this, we took the colors and distributed them nicely and came up with that. And then you see it up there as well, where the old HS used to be. So there you have it. I wanted to share that. I'm happy it's done, Joe. Any comments?
It's pretty. It's beautiful, and I like it. I think it's engaging, and I did recognize the color schema from the website and the different archetypes or profiles. And I'm ready to take it again. By the way, I think I was the third person maybe to take it, or second or third. And and you know, I want to take it. Maybe, you know, have I changed in, I don't know, 45 days? Probably. We all change. Lots happened in my life actually in the last 45 days. So I'm sure I probably have changed. But I wonder if just the way I approach the test, you know, like I kind of want to go through the questions again and maybe have a little more, I don't know, thoughtfulness.
Well, so you can take it every 30 days, and I will just say you're probably eligible again, but I would wait, give it about a week, because based on, listen, I've had feedback, great feedback from a lot of people, and that feedback, I'm now in the middle of the process of adjusting a few of the questions to capture some responses that people were like, oh, there's no answer here for me, or it's like half of this answer and half of the other. So we're in the process right now of just adjusting some of those things so that it's going to better capture, and then it's where it'll be great to take again, I would say. So yeah, make sense?
Did you say process?
I might have. I say process, I don't know.
I've learned to say process. No, it makes total sense, and I'm glad you're getting feedback. That's exciting. And I'm also curious, you know, I haven't really gone through the sort of Rolodex of names recently, so I kind of want to see who's there and start playing with, you know, the capacity. Are the social media handles hyperlinked in such a way that you can click on them, or do you kind of cut and paste them?
No. You can right here. So for example, here's Brent. I can just click right there, and it's going to open up his Instagram right there.
Right there. So yeah, that's
right
great.
there.
That's great.
Yeah. These are all links right to the social media or your hobby platform, wherever. Yeah.
Super handy.
Yeah, super handy. Oh, one more thing I want to shout out here before we jump in, guys, because I did a show with Miller & Miller this past week. Their auction is ending tomorrow, and they have this 52 Topps Mantle, this beautiful 1924 Stanley Cup rookie card, if we can call it a rookie, and a whole Babe Ruth signed ball, all sorts of cool baseball, hockey, vintage pieces. So check out Miller and MillerAuctions.com. Sponsor here of the channel, so I want to thank them. And then before we do Joe's thing, I want to give you guys a glimpse of something that is in the book Pops and Comps that no one ever really talks about, and it's something that I just wanted to share. So I'm gonna read you guys just something that I don't know how many people are aware of it, but and then we'll go to comments and we'll go to Joe's book. So we've talked a lot about auction houses here on the channel and many channels on YouTube in recent months. And we've talked about reserves and shill bidding and policies and active reserves and all these different things. But there's another layer to online auction houses that we don't ever talk about. And I'm not talking, this does not apply to eBay. It does not apply to Fanatics Collect. I don't think it would apply to Alt. The auction companies that I'm carving out right now are auction companies that have their own proprietary software, where they own the code, they own the platform, versus many other auction companies in our space that actually lease. They're basically leasing like out of the box type of software. So in Pops and Comps, in one of the chapters where we talk about context and how the context around a comp is really important, as you get further into that chapter, there's a section, or like just a section within it that's titled Under the Hood of Online Auction. So I'm just going to kind of read it to you because I want you guys to be aware of this, and maybe a bunch of you are. Maybe you've seen this, but you don't really know what it is. But I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to read you a caption from the book. And so let me just do that. Joe, do you mind? I'm going to read it, and then we're going to talk about Joe's big day the other day, night, I should say. Okay, here's what it says. While most collectors focus on the visible behavior of individual auction houses, there is a deeper layer that rarely gets discussed. Many smaller firms lease off-the-shelf auction platforms such as Simple Auction Site or Create Auction, rather than building their own system. So Simple Auction Site and Create Auction are two platforms that an auction company goes to when they want to launch a business, an auction business, especially in the sports card space. They go to either, there's two of these guys. There's two competitors, Simple Auction Site, I'm sure it's .com, and createauction.com. Some of you probably recognize these names because you'll see them at the bottom of these, of the auction companies' websites. So they lease these rather than building their own systems. And here, I'll keep on reading. Anytime a business relies on third-party software, there is always a structural question about who controls the servers, who maintains the code, and what the theoretical access points look like. Now, I have no evidence that any provider ever views or uses bidder information, but the fact that a separate company hosts the platform means collectors should understand the general risks that come with outsourced technology. Those risks include data exposure through a breach, internal access by someone with broader permissions than intended, poor logging and monitoring that makes suspicious activity harder to detect, weak or outdated security practices, vulnerabilities that come with multiple clients sharing the same infrastructure, and a lack of transparency around how data is stored, who can access it, and how long it is retained. If any of these weaknesses were ever exploited, maximum proxy bids and other sensitive information could be revealed, allowing bad actors to run shill activity with little chance of detection or to time their bids with precision. Even the possibility of data mishandling would raise fair questions about how well protected these systems really are. Beyond proxy amounts, these platforms also store complete bidding histories and timing patterns across many auctions. In theory, that level of historical data could be analyzed to anticipate bidder behavior or identify predictable habits. Because no industry standards or regulations govern how this data is stored, monitored, or used, these software providers sit in an unregulated and largely invisible layer of the hobby's marketplace infrastructure. Again, unregulated and largely invisible layer of the hobby's marketplace infrastructure. This does not imply wrongdoing, but it highlights a real blind spot in an increasingly data-driven ecosystem where transparency in both auction operations and the technology behind them is critical. So I want to share that with you guys, just put it out there. We need to know, this is similar, what I've been saying for months now, is that we need to know the rules of the game that we're playing. If you're going to go bid on an auction with a certain auction house, it's good to know what their terms and conditions are that apply to whatever it is you think is important. And Appendix F of Pops and Comps is going to outline several of those policies by auction company as well. But this is another layer that I mentioned, and that you just need to be aware of it. I'm not saying anyone's doing anything wrong. That's not it at all. We're not calling anybody out here. We're just saying that we don't think about these things, and we should. I think we should be, if we're not even, maybe we don't think about it that much, but we should at least be aware of that additional layer. You're not only dealing with the auction company. It is not like it's their data. I assume it's their data, but someone else is also running that platform. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people think about. Joe, have you ever thought about that?
Never.
Chat?
I guess, yeah, it raises all kinds of questions. I mean, the first thing I was thinking about was just, when we got worried about the whole Probstein data leak thing and how that kind of emerged. And I'm not sure if what you're talking about necessarily includes that or not. But the ways in which people bid and analyzing, patterns, that could certainly have an impact on other bids, other strategies for winning auctions, and or how the auction houses and or these external sites might utilize that information is anybody's guess. So yeah, thank you for raising that to the greater hobby good.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, most of the auction companies that we're all aware of are using these outsourced off-the-shelf platforms. So it's just something to be aware of. If you think something wonky is going on, something fishy is going on, you need to, I think, explore all possibilities, not just the ones that might seem most obvious. And this is a layer that I just don't think people think about. So there is a like I mentioned, I just read you the section from the book, and I think people. So here, Josh, who's going to join us later from 90s Auction, says we use Create Auction, very secure. Seth, who owns the company, takes great pride in his software. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. But people like Seth, who own these companies, they have, supposedly, or I would expect, they have access to data in addition to, or maybe instead of even the auction houses themselves. I don't know how that all really works because I don't have a contract with any of these companies, so I don't know who sees what exactly, but it's something to think about if nothing else. So yeah, it's interesting. And again, not calling anybody out here at all. Just be aware. Just be aware. Because again, I don't think it's something that we really have thought much about. All right, couple of comments here. Dave Snyder says at Sports Card Professor. There's a lot of professors there. We got Professor's Cards, Sports Card Professor, the Sports Card Professor. I'm having trouble telling them all apart these days, but Dave Snyder, welcome again. Changing my name to Professor Card Professor. Very good. Hobby Champs. That's great. That's just funny. Everyone's talking about the weather here. I see. Prepare yourselves, as a rant cannot be far off. That wasn't much of a rant, was it? Brad says, is Pops and Comps book only, or can we get it on Kindle? There will be an ebook. So I think if Kindle is Amazon, then yes, you will be able to get that. Absolutely. Good evening, Larry Gitlin. Welcome. Chris from Missouri, thank you very much. Does that mean you're batting 300? Thank you, Linda's first on the logo. You guys like it. I'm grateful for that. I'm glad that you. Oh, Mookie says gorgeous and organic. I love. Yes, it's organic. That's what I really like about it. It's organic. Exactly. I'm glad Hobby Champs like it. The Rubik's Cube version, says Mike Petty. Speaking of which, I always have a Rubik's Cube here on the desk. Thank you, Jay Hawker. Appreciate that. Colin Murray, welcome. Works for Pigeon. That's good. Makes sense. Spectrum equals rainbow. Yeah, we're using the colors for sure. That goes with autism in a rainbow puzzle. I don't know much about that, but okay. Orlando, if you saw the Pegasus horse race today, my daughter designed the logo. That's amazing. Congrats to your daughter. I'm glad you love it, Philippelli. Thank you. She's awesome and also designed your logo. And Matt, if I would have known, I would have reached out to your daughter too, Orlando. That's awesome. I'm Tony, glad you like it. Thank you, Chris. Oh, you guys like it. I'm happy. Thank you, Chris C. Larry Gitlin. Loves the many colors. Good. Stukes, 2 questions on Hobby Spectrum that didn't relate to me. Do I need to wait for the 30 days to get the questions again or to run them by you? You can send me an email, Stukes. Send me an email. Like, you just respond to the email that you got with the code and let me know the 2 questions and what the problem was, please. I want to know this. We want to, before we take the gate off this thing, we want it to be as perfect as possible. So Orlando's at 23. Great website. Thank you so much. Terp loves the logo because it kind of gives awareness to autism using rainbow colored block puzzle. That makes sense. I'm glad. Listen, I'm glad. That's great. And it's in Canadian funds, says Rip Fan. Oh, that about? I'm not sure. Chrissy, I can only afford Barney Miller auctions. I got to fish. I used to watch Barney Miller. Rob Sonier. Oh, me. More Spectrum Hobby talk. Not again. Yeah. Hey, you don't have to watch the show, Rob, but yeah, we're going to keep on talking about it. I'm going to talk about the Hobby Spectrum every show moving forward. So, but I hope I know many of you don't mind. If you do mind, you can just fast forward through it. Absolutely. Please fast forward through it. I'd rather you do that than I have to look at your comments here about it. Chris C, looking forward to player collections. Yeah, we're going to have player collections on the Hobby Spectrum for sure. Good fan. All is good. Can't wait to hang out with you in Independence. Me as well. Oh, good, guys. Good. Starting my own auction company will specialize in kaboomies and Todd Van Poppel autographs, says Chris C. Justin Bode is here. The David Chase. I bought my first card on Mile High in their last auction. When I placed the bid, it did not state the buyer's premium while bidding on top of the bid like every other auction. Deceptive. Just know the rules, though. Is it deceptive, or you just you know there, but you know it's there, you know? So I'd rather see it too, but I hear you. My fault for not knowing the game. Now you do. That's it, right? At least you do. Chris C., anything online is going to have the ability for data leaks, not just auction houses. Very fair comment. Called shots as Mile High had a glitch with their latest auction. Pigeon, heads up. Good to know. You bet. Morpheus, the number of swap patches in graded Kevin Durant and LeBron exquisite rookie patches cards is alarming. You're all snowed in, Bo. Sorry to hear. Sorry to hear. All right. Hello, Peeps Wax Pack. Good to see you. Larry, enjoyed your discussion with Dr. Beckett. Thank you. I'm glad you did. What's up, Curmudgeon? Okay. Leighton's going to join us in about 5 minutes. Guys, this past Thursday was the Fanatics Collect Premier Auction. Adam Gray and I did a live stream with about 175 of you guys for about 5.5 hours or so. And at one point later in the show, this guy here, Joe, enters the chat. He says, I'm here. You know, he's finally here, made it to the show. Better late than never sort of thing. And he's like, stop me from bidding. Well, Joe, take it from there. What happened? What happened for you on Thursday night at the Premier Auction?
Yeah, well, I had a work event that went into the later evening. So California time, I was pulling in around 9, and I realized, oh yeah, it's Thursday night. Adam and Jay Lee are I wonder if they're still on, you know, and sure enough, you know, kind of late to the party, I think was my entry into the chat. And I, you know, I tend to scour the Premier just more out of curiosity. I've never bought an item in the Premier ever because it's way out of my price range. But I do sometimes kind of favorite a few cards just to go back later and look at them and see what they close for. So I had a few saved. And, you know, you guys were holding court with this and that and going through your normal protocols of, you know, assessing value and, you know, diving deep, and Adam goes here and you go over there, and it's great. It's one of my favorite nights of, you know, each and every month that you guys do that. And I was scrolling up from the least valuable to the most valuable, and I saw a couple cards, and I was just kind of, you know, didn't really have any kind of bee in my bonnet, but I came across one that I had favorited probably, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something, you know, and I remembered it. I remember looking at it, and I thought to myself, wow, you know, that's the kind of card that would really be, for me, a card that would stand as a hallmark to a player and my collection. And, you know, the player, as you know, is Steph Curry. And I've shown a few cards through the you know, years that we've been on. But I was hearing you guys talk about how the auction was coming down to an end. And even though it started early, it was going late. Like, I mean, I think we were upwards of 9:45 or 10, and Adam was like my wife, and, you know, I mean, he was hanging in there, and and you were doing your best, but I was counting down with you over and over, like maybe, you know, 5, you know, because it's 60-second counts, right? You know, down to 8 seconds, and I was watching it close off, and then down to 5 seconds, and I was watching it, you know, get rebid and rebid. And I heard, and while that was happening, I just kept coming back to this card. There was no premeditation, really. And I looked at the price, and I thought about what I would have to move to justify making this. You know, in other words, pay myself back to go ahead and just push in. And I had no idea. I thought, I'll make one bid. My friends who bid in these higher auctions always tell me, like, it's better to do maybe 2 or 3 increments above. You know, that can kind of, you know, put the hammer down, so to speak, on the auction. And one of the auction windows got down to like 3 seconds. And you guys were like, that's it. Oh, no, wait, no, it's over. Jay Lee, like, no, we're still going, Adam. We're still going. And I was like, okay, I think we are hitting it. Like, I've followed this and if I'm going to do something. And so I waited till like 4 seconds left. I put in my slightly, enlarged bid with maybe two increments over or 3 increments over. And then I was just like, okay, I'm in. And I saw a number there that I've never ever bid in my life. And I was sort of like, we'll see if this happens or not. I was not actually scared. I was kind of excited, but I sort of figured someone would outbid me. I sort of figured someone would counter, because it was the first time I'd entered the fray. And we get down to 10, 9, 8, and you and Adam are going on about something. And then all of a sudden I see the wheels spinning, and the card I bid on was popping up onto the right of the screen, like in a weird way that I had never seen it happen before like that. I don't know if Premiere is different, the software. And all of a sudden I had won it. And so at that point, I think I had let you know that I was bidding on something, but I don't think I let you know maybe until that moment what it was. And I think you were actually talking about it as the auction was ending. And then at one point, once you found out that I had won something, you were kind of curious, and you asked Adam, I think, what do you think Joe bid on? And Adam actually got it. Like, I think he guessed two things, and one of them was the very card that I won. And I'm excited. I've been working all day just listing cards, trying to get going on the consolidation. It's reverse consolidation, but it was not premeditated. But I feel very good about the acquisition. And,
so did you kind of buy it impulsively, like all week long? Like, did you even know it was for sale during the week, or you didn't find it until you got home on Thursday night?
Like I said, I had hearted it earlier, maybe 2 weeks ago, but it was not in my mind. I mean, I had, there was a board meeting Wednesday night and an open house Thursday night, and I was just like full work mode. And so it was really like returning to an idea that I'd had a week or two previous, but hadn't done any research. Actually, there's only one other sold comp where it sold on Golden about 5 or 6 months ago for a significantly higher price. And so that's what gave me the courage to go ahead. That was the only research I did, was in real time as we were all there on Thursday night, counting down the 60-second increments. So, hard to say it's a steal, but at the same time, it's a card that becomes a cornerstone in my collection.
And I did not know that you were going for it. And when we passed by the card in our regular process earlier on in the evening, and I remember saying to Adam in the chat, it's like, I love this card. I loved that card. So I have it ready to show everybody. We're getting a lot of, look at this. Linda's first. Congrats, Joe. Chris C. Congrats, Joe. Pigeon. Congrats. Well done. Tony. Congratulations, Joe. And Mike Good. Don't look back, Joe. Enjoy the card. I will tell you guys, this is the most confident I've seen Joe about a purchase in a long time after a card. And this is the biggest purchase of your life. Is that right?
I mean, certainly in the card world, and probably second to one or possibly two automobiles. Yeah, it's the biggest of my life. And just FYI, like, I always wanted a Curry rookie, but by the time, the paper tops, the top's chrome, but by the time I sort of got wrapped around the idea of like, okay, it's an okay looking card, I resisted it for a long time. It had expanded out of my price range. So it's not been easy to find just the right mark. And it's so funny that you liked the card. I was so happy that you liked the card. And I went back and listened to the part of the show where you talked about the card, and I was like, he really did. Wow. So unsolicited, you gave the Jay Lee endorsement, which is not necessarily, for ultra modern cards, that's not something I would take for granted.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you like that. I like it. I mean, you always want your friends to like your cards. Sometimes you want, but it's like if they don't, it's okay too. But I certainly, I love it, man. And I have it ready. We're going to share it on the screen here just in a moment. We'll do a couple more comments first. Jacob Dahl is congratulating you as well. Chris C says, now order some food with curry. Yeah. Fourth the game. What a rush, Joe. Congrats. Yes. And Mookie says, Joe is very brave to bid like this before reading pops and comps. I love it. Rage is happy for you, Joe. Much better than ripping 3 chrome megas, right? Yes, for sure. Chris also says here, you added a great player. Always exciting when you get a grail. David Chase, when you buy at your record price and have zero regrets, there's no better feeling in the world. Congrats. Absolutely. Good evening to Mike Double V. Dan's Vintage says, congratulations on winning the Cheetos Art, Joe. I think that was on Golden, though, not on Fanatics. Justin Bode here says, I think Joe made the very last bid of the entire auction. I think that is the case, isn't it? And then before I show it, David Chase, what do we need to do to get you to the West Coast Card Show, Jeremy? I can tell you guys, I will. It's not for sure, but there's a chance I'm going to come to the West Coast Card Show. There's a slim chance because I will already be in Arizona. And if I can hop on a plane for a night, I might just do that. But it's going to be a last minute sort of game time sort of decision. All right, let's share the card. Yankees fan says it was meant to be. Let's share the card. Here it comes, everybody. Right, here, kind of go off to the side, jokes. It's going to come right in between us. There we go. There, oh, we can go. There it is, guys. 2020 Contenders Optic, gold vinyl, 1 of 1, Steph Curry and a PSA 9 holder. Joe, I love it. Here's why I love it. Full body shot of Steph Curry. I love the gold vinyl stock and the circular effects, whatever that's called, the super fractor, the gold vinyl motif. I love it. But I also like the ticket. I like the ticket graphic there. I've always liked the Contenders tickets. I love Optic as well. Optic is like my favorite of the non, super high-end Panini brands, the non-flawless immaculates. I'm not a fan of National Treasures at all, so I'm not going to even mention that one. But yeah, I think it's just a beautiful card. And the other thing is, for whatever reason, I was confused. I thought it was out of 5. When I realized it was out of 1, I liked it even more. So
yeah, they do have some out of 5. They do have some gold vinyls. I think sometimes maybe they're the auto versions. But yeah, thank you, Jaylee. No, and it's a bit of a, and a bit of a color match in so much as Golden State, golden vinyl, gold vinyl. Kind of pops with the home jersey there, the classic Warriors home jersey. And, Curry 2020, that's right in between the 2018 championship and the 2022 championship. So it's kind of like right in his mode there. And yeah, full body shot. And I'm, now I'm going through the not easy process. So I haven't told you this, Jaylee, but I sold 3 pretty big cards today. I think I dented into about maybe 30% of the price there. So I'm 30% of the way home, but it's not easy. I had some, I'm having, it hurts. There's some pain involved in, consolidation and especially when it's not planned, so the impulsivity, there was one card that I probably in hindsight might have listed just a little too low. And so I'm feeling a little bit of seller's remorse on that, but not at all. It's not about the Curry pickup. I'm excited about the Curry pickup and hopeful that the Warriors, a little bit of a downturn. That could have been it too. The Warriors had a bit of a dip when Jimmy Butler got injured, although Steph did go for 39 that same night. So there's that. But yeah, one of my favorite athletes, if not my favorite athlete, and certainly my favorite contemporary currently playing athlete. So super stoked to pick up and great to share it here on a Saturday night.
Well, this is your player. This is your team. This is your team. Like, you are a diehard Warriors fan. And it's so cool that it's like being a fan of the Dodgers, and you have Shohei, or, being a fan of the Patriots, you have Brady. Like, when you're a genuine fan of the team before the main player, the star player becomes as, iconic and goatish as they are. Steph Curry is a game changer. He's GOAT type of status. We using that term a little bit more loosely than there only being one. He's up there. So I think it's amazing. I love the looks of the card, dude. It's so awesome.
Thank you. No, and I believe that Curry, if we step outside of basketball accomplishments just for a second and sort of start to talk about, like you said, kind of significance in the culture and or the world. I mean, I have to think, I mean, you got MJ, obviously. After that, you probably got Kobe. After Kobe, I think there's a strong argument that Steph is poised to surpass LeBron for sort of
Hobby love?
Hobby love, yeah, charisma, hobby love. Now, obviously, LeBron has a massive market share, and I'm not saying, I'm not saying Curry's better than LeBron, but I am saying that, like, Asia, if I had to guess, it's not like, Asia, that's a pretty big term, right? Like Asia, all of Asia. But if I had to, personally speaking, I would guess that Curry is more popular than LeBron in Asia, and that's, that puts him pretty firmly in that number 3 spot, I think. Yeah. I mean, people let me know what you think. I'm curious what the chat thinks.
Well, all right. Well, no, it's awesome. We'll go to some comments. We'll bring Leighton on in just a couple minutes here after we go to comments. So pre-war, congrats, Joe, on the Curry 1 of 1. Trees and cardboard. She's a beaut. Clark. Shaheen, monumental card. Congrats, my dude. Rob Star, great looking card. Congrats, Joe. Guys, nice. Very nice. We have Dan's Vintage. I think the Steph Curry guy is going to be good. Absolutely. Trees and cardboard clarifies Prism gold vinyls are out of 5. Optics are out of 1. So that makes it very simple and easy to understand. Thank you for that. Midlife Greg, congrats to Joe. A great card of a great player for a great guy. Filippelli, congrats, Joe. I want to thank you guys for congratulating Joe. Here, David Chase says, consolidation hurts at the decision-making phase, but I rarely regret the decision later, especially when I consolidate to a big boy card. Yeah, it can be hard, but it gets easier with practice. Bob Boozle, Curry doesn't flop and cry like LeBron, baby boo-boo. Bob Boozle, good to see you. Far more likable than LeBron, says Shaheen. Very good. Dan's Vintage. It's the kind of acquisition that Hoge was contemplating just last week. Well, except that maybe it's about $1.99 million off, but it's about the same kind of contemplation. That's right. Dave Snyder says, I dropped cards at PSA Submission Center at Burbank Sports Cards. What a concept. PSA should put a submission center in major metro areas. Yeah, they probably should. Thank you, Dave Snyder, for the contribution as well. And then I just a couple more comments from up top. Mike Petty says, we'll save you a seat for dinner Friday night, Jared, and pick you up from the airport. Well, that's tempting, Mike Petty. That is tempting. Absolutely. Southern says, I hope you can make it to Ontario. I hope so, too.
So, Jay Lee, just so you know, I just received from the illustrious Mike Petty a guest list of upwards of 20 people. I think, and I don't, I probably should have cleared that with Mr. Petty before I mention anything in live, but there seems to be a Friday the 13th dinner that's gaining some momentum, and it truly would be awesome to see you there if you could all make it.
Yeah. Well, that would be great. Okay. Well, good stuff. Congrats again to Joe on the card. Let's bring Leighton on. Leighton, you good? Leighton is good. Please, everybody, welcome back to the show, Mr. Leighton Sheldon. Oh, hold on. Where'd he go? There he is. What's up, buddy? Welcome.
Hey, guys. How are you?
We're good. Doing good. Well. Doing good.
Is it cold out?
See Joe's big new card, the Steph Curry 101?
I did. Congratulations, Joe. It's sweet.
Thank you. It's ultra modern. I know. But,
it's still a nice card, man.
Well, and on that point, I'm trying to dip in for the resources. I'm trying to dip into my ultra modern collection, not my vintage. It's like I always want to hold on to the vintage, especially the high eye appeal. But thank you very much, Leighton. Is it? Are you snowed in? What's the status out there?
The live weather report is it's supposed to start snowing much later on, and if you want to go to the supermarket out of here, you're SOL. So
hopefully you're stocked up, Leighton.
Yeah, I'll be right.
Good to have you back after, I think you haven't been on for a couple of weeks. So it's good to have you back. And, I know that we did talk a bit earlier, and there's a couple of topics you want to talk about, but I thought of another one that I'd like to talk about with you and Joe. And just to sort of I think it's pretty monumental. We're all aware we should be all aware by now that there was a new Honus Wagner T206 that entered the hobby landscape here via the Ken Golden's discovery, and as really documented on the King Collectibles. So that is this card right over here that is on Golden right now at 3.5 million right there, which is 4.27 million with the buyer's premium. But there is also this one that is going to be coming to auction on Heritage next month, sometime in February, and these are going to overlap for a couple of weeks in terms of when they're both live and being offered for sale. This is an SGC authentic, well, as you guys can see here. And, you know, it's got some issues. As you can see, there's some spots of paper loss, significant corner wear. I mean, these are all pretty messed up, these cards. A big crease right through it, all sorts of surface damage and markings, but it's still a T206 authentic Honus Wagner. You've got the PSA 1 that's offered by Golden Auctions here. And this one is, you know, it's got maybe a nicer surface, but all sorts of folds and creases and bends. It looks like the card might, you know, maybe the top corner is close to falling off, but hey, it's a 1 and it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. So Leighton, I want to just get your thoughts and, you know, and the chat as well. And Joe, like, what do we think? We don't see T206 Wagners come for sale very often. And all of a sudden there's going to be 2 of them at auction in February. Leighton, were you aware of this? I know that's a silly question. And what are your thoughts on the 2 of them coming up for sale at the same time? Will either of them cannibalize the other in terms of the bids, in your opinion?
Well, a lot of questions, but I'll try to nail them all. I was aware, and I don't think they're going to cannibalize each other because I do think that they're 2, even though it's the same cards, 2 different examples. You know, one's going to go for, you know, my guess is substantially more than the other, even though they're both quote unquote lower grade. And one is a fresh discovery to the hobby, whereas another has been up for sale at auction. And so that also plays into it as well. You know, if I had to guess, Jeremy, you know, the one that is being sold through Golden, they were probably working on that for some time. Whereas the one being sold through Heritage, not to say they weren't working on that for some time also, but Heritage was likely aware of it. And it could just be the case of either a collector or an investor wanting to cash in, i.e. take some profits and either redeploy them in the card market or in a different investment market. That's my take.
Yeah, you never know. Well, we don't know why the owner of the Heritage one, known as the Garajola copy, Wagner, formerly owned by the player himself. We don't know. I don't know why they're selling this copy, but we do know why, or at least, yeah, we do know why the Shields family is selling this one. They're just ready to move on from it and let someone else enjoy it. So, I'm with you, Leighton. I don't think that one is going to impact the other. I think that they are different cards. They're completely different. They both do present pretty nicely for their condition and what they are. Joe, what do you think about these cards and the fact that all of a sudden there's 2? Like, there's going to be some headlines generated from these 2 sales, how they play off versus each other, how the Garajola copy plays off versus last time it sold, the timing of them, all these things. Joe, are you looking to maybe make a play at either of these and have to go through another consolidation process?
I feel like I need to clarify that my hugest pickup ever is pretty small potatoes in most of these other contexts. But the cannibalized question is an interesting one, because I think in a situation like this, you could also make the argument that it might amplify. The one and the other might create a fulcrum of energy that generates more focus. I personally love comparing the 2, and I'm, you know, curious. You know, you've got the different slabs, but you also have the 2 different designations, an authentic and a 1, I believe, was the PSA. I think we were dealing with the same backs, sweet caporal, but I mean, that's the stuff that I like kind of examining and comparing and kind of getting into the weeds around. And so I'm assuming that it's the the Joe Garagiola. How do you pronounce that? Joe Garagiola. I know he used to be on the baseball morning.
Leighton,
Joe
go ahead.
Garagiola.
Garagiola.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
Now that I've embarrassed myself, but that's the one that's been to market before, Leighton. Is that that's the one
Yes.
that seen? Do you happen to know about how many times it's sold?
I don't know, but I don't think it's many.
Yeah, it's in a new SGC Tux slab, so can't have been around at least in that state that long. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to see where they close, how they compare, and we could play some bingo. We could make some predictions on how they line up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch and to see. And they're both. Hey, I'd gladly own either of them. I'm not going to for sure. I like the golden copy better. It's just brighter. I like the whiter border better than this one. This one's good too. They're both good. I mean, they're both great, but I do prefer the copy on golden. If hey, I also like certain Lamborghinis over other ones, so it doesn't really matter.
Can you show the reverse of the SGC one?
Yes, I can. I think. Let's see.
I just kind of want to see what's going on back there because I mean, from the front alone,
damage.
It must have some glue or what has it got going?
Oh yeah, it's all sort of messed up there. It's not really coming in quick, so I'm just going to stop.
That's good. I can see it. Thank you. That's helpful. So that makes a big difference and helps me understand the authentic designation.
Yeah, good stuff. Good. Well, first of all, Michael Rader, welcome to the show. Bob Boozle says it's the junk Honus Wagner era. That's a great comment. He also says, I guess Joe's going to have to buy both of them. Okay, great. Joe, he'll have next one for me. A Cow here says, dumb move by Heritage. They should wait. I wonder, it could have the opposite effect, though. It could create, some people might think there's two now. There's not going to be another one for 5 or 10 years, and they might actually get in on the action now because it's that rare that these do come up. Nick Chen, thank you so much. I'm glad you're caught up to the live stream here. Orlando says the underbidder on the Shields copy, which is the golden copy, may buy the other one. Absolutely. And BW says it's the most iconic, right? Or maybe just for old guys like me. No, I think it's a top 3 or 4 most iconic card in the hobby. Absolutely. Absolutely it is. Oh, we got Sylvan in the chat. What's up, Sylvan? Good to see you. Sweet Caporal says Bobby Burrell. Brad's Vintage, great opportunity for the buyer to get both, compare them in hand, and then keep the one they like better. Yeah, because there's a lot of people doing that with $3 million cards. But hey, if you're buying one of these, maybe you can buy 2 of them. Absolutely. All right. Leighton, I wanted to get that into the show. I thought no better time to do it than when you're on. And any sort of final thoughts or opinions on that? Do you have any clients that are kind of in the market for a T206 Wagner?
No one that's been serious about those 2 examples, but it's going to be interesting to see what they sell for.
Yes, it sure will be. All right. Now, there's 2 sort of topics that I wanted to talk about with you that we sort of briefed ourselves on earlier today. And I'll just lay the context for the first one, which is the Dallas Card Show. The Dallas Card Show is expanding, I believe, to New Jersey. And they're planning to set up the Dallas Card Show in New Jersey. I don't know what they're going to call it. Is it the Dallas? Hey, I'm going to the Dallas Card Show in New Jersey. That's kind of I don't know. It's a bit of a mouthful. It doesn't really flow. Kind of makes good. It's going to be very confusing for people, I think, if they don't change the name of it. But that's not really I don't think that's really what you want to talk about. What is it that when you heard about this, where did your brain go, Leighton? What are you thinking about?
Well, the first place my brain went was, wow, established trade show brand / company is hopefully going to bring a big convention to the state that I live in. I think that's pretty cool. So I went to go check it out. It's in April. So the first thing I do, Jeremy, is I circulate it to my team to see if anyone's available, to help out and exhibit. So I got a few people on board. I'm feeling pretty good. And then I text a few people. My one buddy goes, yeah, man, I just booked a table. There's only, a few dozen tables left. So I'm feeling pretty good and excited. And then unsolicited, another buddy texts me, goes, Can you believe the Dallas show thinks they're going to be able to run a show in the same location that's been tried before in Edison, New Jersey? And I'm like, I don't know, Jeremy. What makes a good show? I don't know, but I was all excited to sign up. And he wasn't the first person to kind of be a naysayer of the show. And I think he's correct, my buddy, in the sense that I believe it's going to be either in the same or a similar location in Edison, New Jersey, that's been tried before. I forgot exactly by who. I don't know if it was, one company or another. That being said, it seems like the Dallas show in Dallas, Texas is doing well. Does that mean the Dallas show in New Jersey will do well? I don't know. But I was talking to you about it, Jeremy, and I had lots of questions as to what determines if a show is going to be good, because it seems like a really precarious balance, right? You need good sellers. You obviously need buyers. You need a good location. I would imagine you need hopefully somewhat edible food. And you need a moderate admission price, but for people to immediately dismiss it as it's been tried before at that location, I'm kind of curious what everyone thinks. Is that valid? In other words, in your town or your city, if there was a card show prior, meaning years ago, and some other brand or trade show company took it over, do you think that they'd have a fighting chance? And considering that this is the most robust hobby or the most robust it's been in quite some time, I would think there is a chance it could be good, but what do I know? I don't run trade shows.
Well, what I was thinking about in that last bit of what you were saying was in the city of Atlanta, there used to be a hockey team called the Atlanta Flames. And in about 1981 or so, they shut down, or they didn't shut down. They relocated to Calgary. They're now the Calgary Flames, the team that I cheer for. Then in I don't know, maybe it was 2000 or 99, somewhere in there, NHL expands. And they award a franchise to Atlanta. Again, the Atlanta Thrashers. The Atlanta Thrashers play in Atlanta again, thinking maybe we can make it work this time. I don't know how long they lasted, 10, 12 years, whatever it was. Maybe it's longer, I'm not sure. But then the Atlanta Thrashers, they just can't make it work in Atlanta anymore. So they relocate, and they become the Winnipeg Jets. That franchise relocates. So an Atlanta team goes to Calgary, where I live now. The next Atlanta team goes to Winnipeg, where I used to live. I got all sorts of attachment to Atlanta hockey teams now. And now I'm hearing that they're thinking again about expanding to Atlanta. Could they make it work a third time? So back to card shows for a second. I live in Calgary, as I just said. We've never had, that I'm aware of, a really big card show. And we do not have a great market. The better market is 3 hours north by car, which is in Edmonton. It's just a better market for the hobby. But the Sport Card Expo, who is, main show, their flagship show, if you will, is out of Toronto. They're going to do a show here in September. I talk to these guys, and I'm like, do it. I'd love you to do it in my backyard, but you already do a show in Edmonton. I don't think it's going to be as good as that one, but they're willing to give it a shot, and I'm glad they are. So what makes it good? Really, I think what makes a card show good is when you are drawing on people from a geographical area that extends beyond your city's borders or your greater metropolitan area's borders. To me, that's what makes a show good. When you because every city has a local show where the local vendors are there week after week, month after month. Once you bring in people from 100 miles away, 200 miles away, 1,000 miles away, I think that's what makes a show better. In addition to all the accoutrements that you just mentioned as well, like parking and food and bathrooms and temperature and Wi-Fi, all those things also matter. So I don't know what else, if it's going to work this time or not, but the National was in Anaheim, and then it never went back until, and now you've got the West Coast Card Show that, sort of spearheaded by the Burbank guys, and it's a raging success. So I don't know what's going to make it work or not. Before we go back to you, Leighton, Joe, any thoughts, comments on because I know you're going to be at the Burbank show. But what do you think it takes to make a great show if you're building one from scratch in a market that maybe they haven't worked before? Does anything come to mind? And then Leighton, you'll finish it off.
I think it's the group agreement, right? I mean, obviously Dallas has a history and a lot of core members, and so if they've ascertained or if the goal is to sort of replicate the same, vendors and folks, and all get in the same room together. I mean, that's what it amounts to. It's everybody's sort of mutual agreement that we will show up to this show, this room. I mean, hopefully all the other, the punch list of, like you said, Jay Lee, the Wi-Fi, the temperature, the room, the bathrooms, hopefully all that's taken care of. And I think if, they've managed to figure out how to do that well in Dallas, hopefully they have some skill sets that they can deploy in that direction. But I think it's really just a collective agreement that this is where we're going to go to do some high level card trading and selling.
Right on. Yeah. And then the other thing that comes to mind is I think about the Front Row Card Show, sponsor of the channel, friend of the show. I mean, Dan Bliss, who runs that card show, that it's now like they've got several cities. They're expanding to Atlanta. They're going across country in March. But when you have a group of vendors that might travel with the show as well, Leighton, I think that's huge. If the Dallas Card Show is trying to replicate what Front Row Card Show has done, that might be a great move. The two of them can go and plant their flags and all across the map of the United States. And if their vendors travel with them, that's huge for the marketplace they're going to, because now you're bringing in new vendors. And that's, if I'm traveling to a show or going to a show locally, I want there to be vendors coming from out of town. To me, that's what makes a show great. So on all that, Leighton, back to you. Any sort of feedback on all that, or what's going through your mind now?
I mean, I think they're all great points. I'll just say that I saw on social media several people posted, so I believe it to be true because I was not at the last Dallas show. But any company that proactively brands with their own sticker and name deodorant at a card show, I think it's got a fighting chance. I really do. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. What's the nearest airport to? Did you say Richardson? Is that what was?
That might be a fine town, Joe, but I believe it's Edison.
Edison. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Maybe I'm thinking of Richardson, Texas. But how about what's the nearest airport to Edison? Would that be
Newark Airport?
Newark. Okay. Well, I mean, I the proof is in the pudding, right? We'll probably see in the first show like how it works out. But I'd be excited if I were you, Leighton, in terms of an opportunity knocking at the door, literally, right? I mean,
I am. I'm still going to maintain my excitement and glass half full attitude, and we'll be an exhibitor there. I'll be there for at least a day, and we'll see where the dice fall.
All right. Yeah. Well, a couple of comments on this. First, Zach Pierce here said probably need consistency too. If you're Dallas, they need to commit to doing several shows. They can't be discouraged if attendance is low the first couple of times and then they don't come back. Yeah, the first time for sure, I would say. I don't know how much of a chance they'll give it, but who knows? That'll be up to Kyle, who runs the Dallas Card Show. Lonely Basements gives me an excuse to go to Harold's Deli. I've never been to Harold's Deli, but I would definitely give it a try for sure. Okay, Leighton, the other topic, and this is, I'm going to let you tell the story because this is a kind of when it rains it pours kind of story that happened to Leighton. So I'm just going to give the conch over to you, Leighton, and let you tell the story of what happened to you recently.
Oh, sure. It was earlier this week, and I was at the shop, kind of in the back office, doing my own thing. And at first, gentleman had called ahead, but we didn't really know to what extent the collection that he had was. And he had a fairly extensive vintage graded Pokemon collection, which turned out to be 6 figures, which we're working on that. And within the same hour, guy moseys on in. And if you met this guy, man, this is like, he just looks like a regular guy, walking around, eating a sandwich. And then like his inner coat, he's like, oh, you want to see something cool? And I'm thinking, well, yeah, as long as you don't pull, some sort of weapon, we're going to be in good shape. So he takes out of his pocket. He's like, oh, these used to belong to my father. He's got them in a sandwich bag. Thankfully, they're in holders. And, he's got maybe like 10 cards, 11 cards. 2 1951 Bowman Mickey Mantle rookies. Everything's ungraded. A 1951 Bowman Willie Mays rookie. I think a 52 Bowman Mays, a bunch of Ted Williams cards, and everything's in pretty reasonable condition. We're hoping, of course, to try to buy it on the spot. We give them an evaluation. We tell them what we think it's worth, what we could pay for them. And then he says, I would like to sell these cards, but I would also like to sell the rest of the collection. So, we kind of gave him the evaluation to take with him. And this all happened in under 60 minutes. And it's just one of those things where, man, if I could recreate that every 60 minutes of the day, that would be really, kind of cool. But the joking aside, really intense time period, but also, grateful for the team, because if you're just one person, like a single shop owner, and you don't have any employees, I have no idea how you could possibly service both of these leads, let alone, I think, we've heard Burbank and Ryan say they may have 4 buyers at the shop at a time. At least we have a couple, but even still, when it rains, it pours. It can be challenging. So maybe we're going to be moving to a kiosk system soon, like Burbank. I don't know. But, all that aside, we're real grateful for the kind of material that we had access to this week, and we'll see what happens, in the coming weeks.
Well, these 2 Bowman Mantle rookies, the 51 Bowmans, are they graded? What kind of shape are they in?
Everything's an ungraded. Everything's ungraded. I would say one of the Mantles was lower grade, like a 2 or 3 with a stain. One of them's very nice. Very nice. Solid 4 or 5. Possible upside. Lots of action. Excited to see how it all turns out. I'll keep everyone posted.
Well, it's a find. It's a find. I consider it a find because it's not graded. Cards like that are often graded, most often graded. So if they're not, it's kind of like a find. Does that make sense?
It does. I feel better about calling that when the cards are bought. I think it's cool to make a discovery. I feel like the find implies you've made some sort of transaction.
Okay,
so
fair.
There's been a discovery.
Okay. Well, that's exciting, especially on, cards like that. 51 Bowman Mantle's one of my favorite cards. I've owned mine for, actually, I think this is the year it becomes my 20-year anniversary of owning my 51 Bowman Mantle. I think I bought it in 2006. So yeah, that's pretty cool that there's 2 more entering the space.
You know what? I have a great question, I think, for Joe, for you, and for everyone, because your comment really stirred something for me. What's a card you've had in your collection for a decade plus that there's an anniversary coming up? You're like, oh my God, I've had this card for that actual card for 10 years plus. Yeah. And unfortunately for me, because I have a card sickness, I think I have several. But I am curious what everyone else, including Joe, what yours is and what others are. I think it's a fun question.
And the best part about an anniversary of owning a card is that you don't have to buy it a present. You can, although you can buy another card to pair with it if you want, but that's really buying yourself a present. So you could. Joe, do you have any cards coming up for you in the next little bit that might be, a significant timeline?
I am sure there is, because like you, Leighton, I have a card, let's call it an obsession. And then but I would need to do a little homework, because I haven't kept track of it, but I'm sure, so it's 2026, like 2016, definitely was buying cards in 2016. 2006, definitely was buying cards in 2006. Most of my purchases have been on eBay through the years. I think they let you look back further than I realized. I was on my iPhone of all things, and I think they were letting me get back to about 2017. But other than that, I'm not sure I would have exact records to be able to sort of, land the exact year. But it's an interesting question, and certainly something, kind of a cool way to think about celebrating your own hobbydom in a way. But yeah, I don't know. How about you, Jay Lee? Can you're much more of a You're more of an accountant type. You probably can track down the time and date that you bought something.
Some stuff I can. But I mean, now I'm thinking about it, coming up to the 1-year anniversary of buying that Joe Jackson card. I mean, that's mind-boggling itself. So that's one that I will probably celebrate every year, that kind of thing. But it's fun. It is. Even when I said that and I realized that about my Mantle, it's just, 20 years, man. It's a long time. It's a big chunk of life. And it's just, that's kind of like, I always measure time based on milestones. Like I know what year I was born. I know what year I graduated high school. I know what year I graduated from getting my professional designation. I know like you have all these years in your head. You know what year you got married, what year you had your kids, these sorts of things. I know what year I got my mantle. Like some of us have that. We have those dates in our mind as clearly as we have other big life forming events. So just a fun thing. But a couple of comments did come in from the chat. So first of all, Bob Boozle is going to take his Yogi Berra to Sizzler to celebrate. I think that's a wonderful plan. Boozle, he's booking the anniversary dinner reservations right now. Team Chevelle shouts out the Gretzky rookie. He pulled it as a kid. David Chase says, Leighton finds Bowman mantles as often as I find my son's Hershey wrappers in my couch's cushions. Mookie Chilson, I'm celebrating my 40th anniversary with my 1985 Topps Dwight Gooden this year. Very nice. Congratulations to you and Dwight, Mookie. Linda's first has just over 25 years for my Gretzky Blast from the Past refractor. Amazing. That's a long time to own one of those for sure. Here we go. Orlando, probably 40 years ago, I got my 53 Topps Mantle. Chris C, I've owned my first Nolan Ryan card for 39 years, 87 Topps. The start of my Ryan PC as an 11-year-old. I love it. So, yeah, we're getting a few people. 59 years for Stukes and the 67 Topps cards. Awesome. So congrats to everybody on their card anniversaries for all year. Well, I want to give the congrats for the whole year now. Joe, you're on mute.
The thing that I now want to do is go back and because I've done this before, but I haven't firmly, set the date in my mind. But my two most valuable vintage cards, now I can say that because I've got a big Curry card, but are my Gaudy Ruths. I've got a yellow and a red. And I think I bought those around 2007 and 9, maybe, if I had to guess. But I think Card Ladder goes back that far. I think they do have historical sales that extend that far back. And I probably can, I think I've located them before. So that might be a cool way to find the exact date. Because, 40 years, 30 years, like somewhere there, like I could do some rough estimates. But if you wanted to get down to like, this is the week or the day that I acquired that card, that's kind of cool. That's pretty interesting. I like that.
It is. It's interesting. And well, there's the day you won it at auction, let's say, and then there's the day that you received it, picked it up, received it, got it in the mail. So
in hand.
Yeah. Okay. We've got Chris Hoge in the back who can maybe help us understand a bit more about how far those details go on Card Ladder. But I think they go back to 11. Let's see if I'm right. We'll bring him on. Chris, are you good to go? He is. Please welcome Chris Hoge back to the panel, everybody. Chris, hello.
Great to be back.
And great to have you. How far does Card Ladder Day to go back, Chris?
Jeremy, you said 2011?
Yes, I did. Well, for eBay anyway, I did, yeah.
Joe, what's your guess?
Well, so either I'm confused about when I got my Ruths or you go back further, because I feel like I've found my Ruths and I thought they were in the mid to late 2000s, like, 6 to 9 kind of range.
Leighton?
Well, I'm going to guess 03 because I know how much you collect LeBron, so I'm going to go with 03.
Leighton is the closest here. Well, Joe, did you give an exact date?
No, I just said at least 2006 was my speculative thing. Now if you're going to ask me, I don't know, maybe 2002.
I think that's exactly. I think you can find eBay sales as old as 2002 in there, 2002 or 04, one of those. So we've got eBay stuff going back pretty darn far. And you could just we could figure that out really quick if somebody just set the filter to eBay and then reverse sorted it. So I think it's 02 or 04. And then we've got some stuff from some of the other auction houses that goes back even a little bit further. But there is a caveat, which is that stuff prior to around 2020 is going to be auction format only. So there's not going to be buy nows or best offers. So that is a limitation. And there's going to be very, very few photos of stuff from pre-2020. So you really need to nail the title search to get it right.
Right. And or the exact grade. Like I have a 1.5
Yes.
And it's kind of, that's how I was able to track it down. But are you tracking those? How are you tracking those down? Is that proprietary? Can I ask that question?
Hold on, let me do this little reverse thing really quick. Let me actually get a very precise answer for us. The earliest sale is January 3rd, 2004. So the answer is 2004.
Leighton wins the prize.
I think Leighton gets it. And
I'm way off.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Jeremy, you were just being modest. You were just setting the bar low so that there was no disappointments.
Yeah.
Coach, is it?
I thought I was right.
Is it index level cards or is it all cards? Like, is it a Kirby?
There's
Kirby
and
great.
This is everything. This is everything. But yeah, there's certainly cards populating indexes like LeBron's index. I'm sure goes back to 2004, and anybody who has Jackie Robinson's index, etc.
All right, guys. Well, there's a couple topics that I had for the night that I think. You know what? We've got Josh. Is Josh there? Josh is here too. I can't see you, Josh, because you're behind my camera. But I'm going to bring you on the screen too. Josh, give me a thumbs up, even though I can't see it. This is more of a warning that you're about to pop up on the screen with us. Here you come.
I'm here. What's
Hello,
up?
buddy. Welcome.
Chris?
You took a small risk there.
I know, right? Who knows what could have been happening? Chris, Joe, congratulations on your card.
Thank you.
Leighton, nice to see you. Jeremy, how are you?
Hello, I am well. All right, so we got the whole team here now on. This is episode 300, guys. So I'm glad you're all here.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and it's sort of we don't have any special guests tonight, and that's my fault, guys. I just had such a busy week. I didn't get to planning really in time. So here we are, and I'm just glad you're all here with us. But I had the first sort of topic that I'll introduce to the whole panel now is the. Do you guys catch wind of this new hobby metric that was introduced by the Mantle platform called the SLAM score? Anybody hear anything about the SLAM score? If you haven't, allow me to share with you. So, and we'll see what happens when I put 5 of us off to the side here. Oh, we fit. Good. Here's an article on Yahoo Sports. Mantle's new SLAM metric aims to make buying, selling cards easier. And I won't read it all, but it stands for secondary liquidity and momentum. It originated as an idea from content and community marketing director Mike Metzler, longtime collector, found himself met with the same issues that plague hobbyists hoping to sell cards at local shops. It scores from 0 to 100. A higher SLAM score is given to cards that are highly liquid and often have price volatility. Lower scores can still be great cards, but might be harder to sell to the average collector. He says the idea behind this was pretty simple. How close is the card to 100% cold hard cash? He told them if it's 100, you should be able to walk into any show and say, this is sold 150 times at this specific price over the last 30 days. You'll be able to sell this. I don't need to take 70% of comps. So there's a whole bunch of more information in here, written by Ben Burrows, who's been on the show here several times, editor for Collect. And this is published on the Yahoo Sports website here. And apparently, Mantle pulls data from a number of partnered resources, including marketplaces and data tools, and hopes the number of cards with SLAM scores will quickly expand as they hit the secondary market. SLAM is the newest addition to a growing suite of free tools the platform is creating to make collecting easier for hobbyists. So that's just a bunch about Mantle itself, which is a great platform, by the way. So anyway, did you guys hear what they're trying to do without getting to the science behind it is come up with a metric that just really shows you how liquid your card is. On the Mantle site itself, want list and the new Mantle SLAM score. So I can't really make this much bigger than this, I don't think, I can't make that any bigger. But what they're showing here is, I guess, a sale, a Gretzky rookie card being sold, it looks like on eBay, and they're circling what would be the SLAM score. I'm assuming that this is that's why a want list on the mobile app of Mantle only, which explains why earlier today I couldn't find the SLAM score on items on their desktop version. So there you have it, guys. That's a new metric for the hobby to assess the liquidity of a card and then to use that in your arsenal when you're up against a buyer, let's say, to say, well, this has a high slam score. I want more money for it. Let's go around the table. I'll just kind of go clockwise and see what you guys think. First thoughts. If anyone wants to go first, just put a hand up and I'll go to you first. But if not, we'll start with Joe. And Joe, thoughts on the slam score entering the hobby vernacular?
Well, I mean, we've got 5 advanced collectors, highly advanced collectors on the screen right here. And I think we're all pretty cognizant in our own ways of how we might assess like our slam score. It's cool. I'm glad someone's sort of bringing awareness to kind of the different factors that are involved in collecting. But, myself and I believe everyone on this screen would probably have their own internal barometer of what a slam score might amount to in any given, holding that they have. And that's not to diminish the Mantle project. It's just to say that I think advanced collectors probably, operate with this awareness, in an almost natural, organic kind of way.
I think you're right. When you talk about not only advanced collectors, but immersed hobbyists who are consuming content, monitoring the market, especially guys. And it's funny because Dan's Vintage says, does your hobby spectrum number affect your slam score? But I was going to say, like, there is a relationship to the hobby spectrum, because if you are towards the right side, if you're in that builder, operator, tycoon sort of area, you're more likely to be monitoring these sorts of things. The slam score is going to be very interesting to people on that side of the market, of the spectrum. If you're more purist, nostalgic, precisionist, you might not care as much, because you're not care as much. You might not instinctively understand what the slam score would be. But it'll be kind of fun to kind of guess what the slam score is. The hope for Mantle and slam score, I'm sure, is that this becomes, common vernacular for the hobby to use. I don't know if it helps or hurts. Don't know. I guess we'll have to see. Leighton, what are your initial reactions to it? Had you heard about it before right now?
No, I had not heard about it. My initial reaction is if it can help the community and the hobby at large, great. One of the things, though, and this is a shout out to Matt and the iAppeal site, that I think is lost, and it really is confusing for both hobbyists who are immersed in the space, but especially for those that are new or coming back after a while, is the notion of iAppeal. Because they are right that 86 Fleer Jordans are really liquid and 79 Gretzky's are really liquid. But I just sold an 86 Fleer Jordan in a PSA 8, but old label. And everyone who's in the know knows that if that old label Jordan is a little bit off-centered, it's going to go for less than a newly encapsulated PSA 8. And so if it's just being treated as a piece of plastic that happens to have a card in it with a number, I'd be a little bit worried about that, because that's not really truly, to me, what a slam score is. You're actually misleading someone into thinking that they might have something that they don't, or, to be fair, on the flip side, that what they have actually might be better because it's better than an average copy.
Well said, man. I mean, I wonder if they thought about that at Mantle. SLAM stands for secondary liquidity and momentum. So it sounds like it's a good name, SLAM. That's a fun name. It's got some relevance to the hobby. But are they considering what you said is so on point, Leighton? Not all eights are the same, blah, 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 right? We know that already, especially if you watch this show. So I wonder how they're coming out with it exactly. And it might be in the documentation. I didn't research it enough, but Dan here says, isn't this just another way to measure liquidity? Well, it's liquidity and momentum. Even I think other cards are, and then, well, what's the difference? Well, I'm not exactly sure, except to know that I guess many cards can be liquid, but not sell as often as other ones do. And I think that's that's the line between liquidity and momentum. Trees here says, isn't a slam score just a volume of sales? Well, I would caution you, Trees and Cardboard, from thinking that way, because you don't know. So let's find out first. Find out before we kind of say what it is. Maybe, but hey, I don't know if it's just volume of sales. So but the way that this comment is written in the chat here is kind of a loaded comment saying it's not a question. It's like you're kind of insinuating that it's just a volume of sales. Maybe it is, but I don't think it's as simple as that. Greg says, I want to collect cards that rarely transact with NA slam scores, more rare ones, which I think a lot of us do, Greg, for sure. I'm with you. But Chris Hoge, let's maybe we'll end off with Chris Hoge. Let's go to Joshua Adams first. Joshua.
Well, I don't know how you measure momentum. If it's just the price, like someone said, I don't know how that equates to momentum. But also, like Leighton said, it's not all 8s are the same, not all 7s are the same. Some cards have idiosyncrasies that you can't quantify with a number. Like I always go back to the Bobby Hull rookie. It's always off centered on the left. So I mean, it's it's nice for novices, and so combination of what Joe and Leighton said.
Okay. Well, and before we go back to Chris, I'm just going to share this. I'm going to read this. For Mantle, the goal is to solve a common problem impacting collectors by adding a valuable data point to what has likely been an oversimplified process. For many buyers and sellers, the most recent sale or handful of sales are all that matters. So maybe what they're saying is that, if you look at comps and maybe there's been 5 or 6 in the last month, but nothing for the 7 months before, is that coming into play? I'm not sure. Additional variables like total sales volume, price volatility, and sales velocity should all likely play a larger part of the process, and Slam attempts to capture that with a normalized score. So they're adding more things besides the most recent sales. They're adding these additional variables, total sales volume, price volatility, and sales. So maybe they're taking like almost like the spread between the high and the low, and you often hear people give advice like when you're assessing comps, omit the top, omit the bottom, average out the rest sort of thing. Maybe they're finding a way to formalize that into just one number, which gives you an idea as to how close to comps you want to pay or you're willing to accept for your cards. Again, don't know the exact formula here, but I think it's interesting. I'm glad to see some sort of innovation with this. Whether it catches on or not is a whole other question. Let's go to but David here says momentum is change in price. Okay,
where does it say that? Is that in
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know where is David. No, I don't think David is the guy who's quote. No, that was Metzler. So I don't know that David. I don't know if David has insight here or if this is his own theory. What momentum equals change in price. To me, momentum would mean like the volume increases over time as well as the. Let me rephrase: either volume ramps up or pricing ramps up, or ramps down. Momentum can go in both directions, I suppose. But Bob Boozle is going to do us all a favor and have his economists, plural economists, he's got a staff of them, look into this. And who knows? No one really knows who Bob Boozle is, so he might have a staff of economists on his payroll. All right, Chris Hoge, let's go to you to bring this all together, if you will.
Yeah, sure. I jotted down 3 thoughts. The first one is that very similar to what you just said, Jeremy, which is that I think we all encourage entrepreneurship, taking risks, trying things, trying to develop things, just having the spark of ingenuity to try something out. And so who knows how this will work. I do find it interesting here. My second point is that I find it interesting on a macro level that this is sort of a symptom of the moment that we're in. And that's not a criticism, and that's not a compliment either. It's just a neutral observation that's very similar to, I think, 2020 and 21 and 22 even, when there was a flourishing, a sudden uptick, a dramatic uptick in the offering of new businesses, new products, new attempts to approach the sports card industry, trying to create new ways to help people collect and so on and so forth. That I think, and I don't think this is the first or it will be the last of the new business inventions and ideas that are going to characterize 2026 and 2025. As we've seen the market ramp up, as we've seen enthusiasm turn forward. As a quick aside, if you look at like the Card Ladder 50 index or probably any index that's trying to capture the market as a whole, there was almost a 4-year period of uninterrupted price losses at sort of looking at the industry as a whole from March of 2021 through January of 2025. Almost 4 years, 3 years and 9 months of just that index just down, bleeding. I remember logging in, to my email every morning and getting my little card letter notification, and it told me that I lost money on my collection. That was the case for about almost 4 straight years. Okay, so we had that big lull where we weren't having this. There wasn't this explosion of creativity and energy and entrepreneurship. It was the opposite. It was people retreating. It was people sitting on the sidelines waiting. It was caution, it was pessimism, and now the tide has turned. And I think we're going to see more and more attempts at innovation like this, and just expressions of creativity. This, people are excited about cards. They get ideas, they want to put them out there. And I think this is an example of that. And then the third and final point that I jotted down is that for me as a collector, and I'm echoing what Greg said, which I thought was a great comment too, this really isn't going to be of much use to me in my day-to-day collecting. It could be, though, if if I open a box of something and I grade some of the better cards I get out of it and they're not for keeping, and maybe that could help me sort of decide where I should sell these. Should I take these with me to the next card show, or should I try to throw these online? Should I try to auction these quickly? So maybe there could be some use in those edge cases for me, but by and large, I think me, probably most of us, all of us on the stage, I don't think this is speaking to us as collectors. This isn't really targeted to helping us.
I think it's for the right end of the spectrum. I really do. I think it's for the operators and the tycoons mostly, even builders maybe a little bit. But if you're buying, maybe even as a purist, nostalgic, whatever, you might want to know, but you probably don't care as much. I think it is more for the operator type of hobby archetype. Guys, put up your hands if you want to add anything. I'm going to read some. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, I mean, what I'm thinking about is the relationship between the past and the future and the present. And obviously things change. And so the concept of momentum is interesting. It's intriguing, but things develop so quickly. A player I very minorly collect just went down with an ACL tear, Jimmy Butler, and so things change so swiftly that you can't rely on a simple reckoning. You can incorporate it, but it's just the relationship between where we're going, where we've been, and where we are. It's very nuanced. It's very fluid.
Well, yeah, great comments. You mentioned momentum, so I want to thank David in the chat because he says here momentum comes from the finance community. But however, Chris C says, then there's the fiance community who hates cards. But back to David's comment, he says here, a momentum, this is from the definition, a momentum stock is a stock that has demonstrated a strong trend of rising prices over a specific period and is expected to continue rising because of that existing trend. Whenever you're talking about trends and a stock, what about the fundamentals, guys? We're buying stocks based on trends. How about buying them based on what's actually going on in the company? That's a whole other story.
Well,
go ahead.
What do you mean by fundamental, Jerry Lee? What would be
what's going on in the business of the company? How are their profits? How's their revenues? How is their expansion? How is their innovation? What's going on in the business? Not just what a stock is trendy because people are talking about it.
How about in relation to cards?
Yeah, well, I think cards are a little bit. Well, I mean, listen. We know what's trendy in cards. It's the flavor of the month rookie, right? Really. I mean, you could also say that autograph vintage is a trend, but is it, or is that is that an actual shift?
But fundamentals for me, what that brings up is established sets. Base player parallels as opposed to insert level parallels in the ultra modern world. The fundamentals of in vintage, you get into the key sets. For me, that's what I think of, the Leaf, the Bowman, 48, 49, whatever you're going to call them. That's how I translate that concept. I love that you brought that up. What about the fundamentals?
Well, yeah. And I think you're onto it. I think the fundamentals to me are it's not necessarily the sets. It's the Jackie Robinsons. It's the Mickey Mantles, it's the Michael Jordans. I mean, these are the fundamentals, I think. And I, reserve the right to rethink this, but the fundamentals are the GOATs in a way. And then, but the fundamentals are also the way the hobby operates, the way the market operates. A fundamental is that a player can go out for 50 points in basketball, or win a Super Bowl, or go on a goal streak in hockey, and all of a sudden the market is going to react, or a fundamental of the hobby also. But this is where a trend, this is the difference between a trend and a fundamental. And this one's a bit blurred, but Macklin Celebrini of your San Jose Sharks, Joe, there's like one guy driving that market. That's a trend. He's setting off a trend. The fundamental is that that's not going to hold. That's the fundamental. So anyway, those are some thoughts. Let's hear
can I just say one thing to what you said? I want to say it's the intersectionality of the player and the set, and or the because to me that's part, like, of course sports is why we collect, right? Like, we collect because we appreciate these athletes, their significance, their contributions to the particular sport that they may have played. But then in the card world, we're thinking about the legacy of the cardboard, right? The actual sets and the historical moments. So to me, it's like the intersectionality between those two.
I like that. I like the yeah. And we're kind of making this up as we go. At least I know I am. And, you know, who has anything else to say about this? Leighton, Josh, Chris, any of you? You're good. We're good. Okay. Okay. Just a couple comments here. David Chase. It sure seems like every card I bid on has a slam score of 100 these days. Every card you want to buy. Right. Chris C says momentum sounds like something you buy for fiber off a grocery store shelf when you reach a certain age. Momentum. But Chris says, good point, Jeremy. For me, it's the substance, not the style points. Substance is another kind of word maybe there for the foundation of it all. So yeah, it's a fun chat for sure. What's up, Chad Chipper? Welcome to the show, buddy. Yeah, we got the core lineup here on the screen right now. Always get to see Chad Shipper. Dan's Vintage says comparing cards to stocks is a dangerous game. But why not? Why not? And there's some good chatter about that, if I may say so, in Pops and Comps for people to read when the book comes out soon. I do definitely get into cards as investments and how to look at that, at least the way I look at it. So we'll see if anybody agrees with me or not when they read the book. All right. I had another thing happen, another topic. This is another topic of mine, if I may, kind of changing the topic again. Hoj, did you come with a topic for a little later?
I've got our choice. I have a menu. Okay. So keep going, though. That's a great first topic. All
right. Okay. Perfect. So this all comes off of, I believe. Okay. Here's what happened. Here, I have two topics. Oh, thank you, Linda's First. New topic, puts a line in the chat. Linda's First, we should talk about moderating you. Maybe we could use a moderator in this chat. We got to talk. Oh, because you're always here too. So maybe you need to get the wrench and become a moderator. Okay. Anyway, there was a story that I saw on Facebook about people very just publicly sharing how they were using Kurt's Card Care products on Gretzky rookies and then saying they were going to sell them, basically. And so what I did is I took this story, I screenshot all the comments on it just to show, and I shared them to my story post on Instagram. And from there, a few things happened. So I'm going to share my screen again with you guys. I'm just going to show you. Here's the story post I put up. Heads up to collectors and buyers. What you're about to see on the following slides is a real-time documentation of cards being soaked, pressed, and repaired before grading. These cards are being prepped for PSA submission and will enter the market in slabs soon. These are collectors openly sharing the process themselves, seemingly unaware of the implications of what they're documenting. PSA card, please be on the lookout. Okay, great. So I'm just going to go to I think that'll get me. I don't know why this doesn't. Okay, so then I screenshot all these things. This is just conversation. Incredible. How do they fix creases? Is this real? Where is Buddy located? How can we send him our creased Wayne Gretzky's? Here are some of mine drying. This guy posts a picture of the card soaking. This is a Gretzky rookie soaking in what I believe is Kurt's Card Care juice or solution, whatever we're calling it. Here are some of his drying. He's drying his cards after giving them a bath. You can see Kurt's Card Care product in the picture is a comment right there. Right here, you can buy these products and do all the repairs yourself. Here are some of my cards drying again. Okay, more comments, the before pick, the after pick. You can YouTube Kurt's Card Care for more information if you want. Okay, so I share all these comments, and then on my final second to last slide, I say right here, this is buyer beware. This is obviously happening more than people realize or want to accept. Due diligence matters more than ever, although in many cases, I'm not sure what you would find. Hopefully, PSA is continuing to develop technology and skills to detect these alterations. Obviously, like, hopefully they are. And then the final slide, where'd it go? There should be one more. Maybe just play this out. Oh, I don't know what happened to the last one. But here it is. It's over here somehow. One last thing. I'm not calling out those individuals. The fact that you can get this stuff on Amazon normalizes it for the unaware. It's mind-boggling. I'm not convinced that these collectors understand the long-standing hobby norms around working on cards. I shared this to surface the issues, not to target the people. That's really important. I genuinely don't think that those people, maybe I'm wrong, I very well might be, but maybe some of those people, because this was public, they're putting it right out there on Facebook publicly. So, okay, then what happened after that was Dan the Card Man. I just want to share this with you. Dan the Card Man does a video on it. He released this 3 days ago. It's not that long. It's 14 minutes long. But I just want to share with you a comment. This is going to lead into something as well. I want to show you one of the comments that came in here, and you'll see why. Where did it go? How am I going to find it? I'm going to find it for you guys. It's one with replies because I get into the reply. It's probably this one. No, it's not that one. I'm just scrolling through these comments, guys, because I really want to share with you something. Oh, it's probably this one. No, it's not that one there. That had 6 comments. Okay, right here. Nice. This guy called Nice Jugs, Juggz, writes. So he writes, so Jeremy Lee is seemingly against card restoration, yet he promotes Mr. Minty on his show. Okay. To which I replied, and this is important. I wanted everyone to read it here. I wrote, this isn't accurate. Mr. Minty does not sell alteration tools, restoration tools, or substances of any kind. No dips, no solution, no abrasives, no chemicals, no methods that change a card. He sells inspection and measurement tools, magnification, lighting, and centering tools, tools for seeing cards more clearly, not changing them. This matters, and confusing the two just shows a lack of understanding of what's actually being discussed here. And Dan was going to, make that comment himself. He writes, Mr. Minty himself is the issue, not his microfiber cloth on Walmart. He has discussed at length corners, edges, etc. When he used to partner with the great, that's irrelevant. And then so that's what came of it there. I just wanted to share all that because Mr. Minty does support this channel, and I'm proudly associated. And right now, I'm going to read the Mr. Minty ad for you all because hey, he is supporting this channel, and I'm grateful for it. So give me a moment to do that, please. Grading is expensive. Tying up your time, money, and assets. Get it right with Mr. Minty. It offers a full line of 100% substance-free pre-grading supplies, grade prep and evaluation services, and concierge drop-off and pickup PSA submissions, all designed to help collectors save time and money in the expensive grading process. Meet Mr. Minty in person. Oh, that was last weekend. For more information, mrminty.com, and save 25% off products using promo code SCL25. Happy collecting and keep it minty. And just to, let you guys know again that in case anybody has a misunderstanding or is questioning, what I'm doing here, Mr. Minty is not selling products like Kurt's Card Care does, and that's critical. So I just want to share that all with you. And there's more that came of it. There's more that came of all this. So first of all, Leighton, how are you doing for time?
I got to run in a couple minutes, but this is very interesting. That's for sure.
Okay. So here's the next part of all this, you guys. I got a response to my DMs. Sorry, a response to my story post came from a collector I've had conversations with before, and I kind of want to share that. Now, I don't know that I should share who it is because I didn't tell them that I was going to talk about this on the show. I just sort of want to because it's giving and it's got to do with the title of this episode, which is, are all PSA cards really the same? And what that means is a card that was worked on by a Kurtz card, not simply taking a microfiber and wiping a fingerprint off a card. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't. I mean, convince me otherwise. But when you are dipping your card in a solution, when you are flattening out creases, I mean, it changes the structure of the card itself. So, how was the reason it's irrelevant, Nice Jugs, is because I don't know that Mr. Minty alters corners and edges. That is news to me right there. That is news to me. So I think that Mr. Minty does not impact the card itself. He measures it and helps you look at it. So, okay. The conversation that I had, someone wrote to me, he goes, in the end, a 9 is a 9 no matter the history. I thought, okay, if you don't care about the card inside the slab, then sure, they're all the same. If you don't care about the card inside the slab, then maybe no matter the history. But I don't really think that's the case. I said, if you don't care about the card inside, then yes. He says, you mean the history of the card? The card is still a 9, just like another 9. I said, no. He goes, you need to prove that the altered card is in fact altered to change that perception. And that is probably impossible for most people to do. Hence, it's just another 9 on the pop chart. I said, ignoring the card in the slab, then sure, it's called grade worship. But I think it goes another layer. I think that there are people out there who can look at a card that has been dipped in the juice or had creases rolled out, that you would notice it, where a grader at PSA might not. I think that there are collectors out there, some on this screen right here, that are better at identifying these things than every grader at PSA, let's say. So, okay, that's one thing there. He says, okay, let's take the cards out. Do they look and feel the same? Well, to a degree, but not necessarily. I mean, if you have felt a card that's been dipped in the juice, I believe it feels a bit different than a card that wasn't dipped in the juice. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think I felt some that were without knowing they were. So, so we keep on going back and forth on this. And I end up saying that, what if the card doctor, the card alterer publishes a list of cards that they altered by serial number? Would they still be the same thing at that point? It's the same. It's a similar discussion that we had not too long ago about if every 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle was just all of a sudden wiped off the face of the earth. Is that still like that? Does the card exist? Like, could you have a complete run of Mantles without it if they were all wiped off the face of the earth? If you are somebody who is using Kurtz Card Care, or you are trimming a card or adding color back or filling in a pinhole sort of thing, if you're doing any of these things, and you keep a record of them, that information's out there. They're now transacting back and forth on the secondary market. Are those two cards, is a PSA 6 Mickey Mantle the same, that was never touched in these ways, the same thing as a PSA 6 Mantle that was touched or dipped in the juice? Are they the same thing? I think a lot of the hobby doesn't know that this is going on. I don't think that maybe a lot of people don't even care it's going on. So they'll take whatever. They just care about the 6. It's the worshiping the grade, not the card. I worship the card, not the grade. So those are my thoughts. Is it the same thing? Is a PSA 9 that was in the juice the same thing of one that was not in the juice? That's the question. My position is no, it's not the same thing. Some people can detect it. And if that list, and blowout cards is famous for identifying these things and sharing them, those cards are tainted. If you know about it, they're tainted. So I don't think they're the same thing. Let's now get thoughts from the panel. I've been talking the last 15 minutes, I feel like. Let's go around and get your guys' thoughts. Leighton, do you want to, I know you're kind of on a time crunch. Do you want to go first?
Sure. So, Jeremy, you make a lot of great points. I don't necessarily think it's any more complicated than, as you said, if you're someone who wants to care about what the card looks like, then start with the card and then see what the grade is maybe afterwards. But if you're someone who worships the plastic, I'm not judging you. It's just different. And I do think that for those, as you were alluding to, Jeremy, let's just say who have a lot of experience, whether it be in the modern world or in the vintage world, that absolutely know, let's just say, as much as the professional graders, if not more. So one of the things to hopefully take from this episode, and this part in particular, is, Jeremy, whether it be when you decide to make that big plunge into buying a shoeless Joe, you don't buy and sell vintage professionally, but yet you knew that that card was a beautiful card that happened to present incredibly well for the grade. And Chris, you don't buy and sell modern professionally, but yet a lot of folks are referring to you for advice because you have an incredible amount of not just experience, but enthusiasm and passion for the space. And I know other gentlemen on the panel are similar, both a little bit with vintage and a little bit with modern. So I guess what I'm saying is you just have to choose what you like. And I don't know that there's a right or a wrong, but I agree with you, Jeremy. I don't think they're the same card. And for me, I've always advocated, I not only want to know the provenance of the card, but I believe, let's just say, to say it kindly, that PSA standards have evolved over the years. And I would like to know, at the very least, no matter when my card was graded, that I'm happy with that example. And for that example, depending on what that cost is, that it fits my budget. If it happens to be a high grade or a low grade, it really is secondary to me when purchasing a card for the long term.
Sorry, which is the secondary part to you when purchasing it for the long term?
Oh, what the actual grade of the card is.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry. I was okay. Yeah. Agree. Same here. I don't want to buy a card and then learn later, because I saw it called out on blowout that I bought a card that was trimmed or dipped in juice, like where the borders are all of a sudden a lot brighter than they used to be. Any of that. I just don't want I want my cards, just treated the way we like our cards to be treated. And if I have a semi problem with people doing these things. Why it's a semi problem? Because first of all, they're your cards. You can do with them what you want. That's the law. You can do with them what you want. Hobby etiquette says, no, that's not true. You can't do with them what you want, but you can. And then I say, well, okay, at least disclose it, make it known. Well, they're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. It's just counterintuitive to why people doctor their cards. So then I think, well, listen, if you are now an artist, you're an artist. You're so good at cleaning your cards. Sign the damn card. Put your initials on it. Let people know that you had your way with it. Sign the card. Literally, take a pen, put ink on it, and sign it, because now you've changed it. You've made it your canvas. Well, people probably aren't going to do that either. Then I think to myself, maybe PSA should offer a new service, which is a new colored label, whatever the color. They're already using red and blue. Maybe they use something different. I don't know, yellow. Maybe use brown because of the other colors that it represents. Maybe they use brown because it's the color of what. And they slab cards in brown. They put cards in brown labeled slabs that were worked on. So instead of PSA trying to find these things, because they can't, these guys are sliding them through regularly. They're slipping them past PSA regularly. So why doesn't PSA just offer a new service saying, hey guys, we're now going to slab your Kurt's Card Care cards. They already will slab trimmed cards, right? They'll just call it authentic trim. But why don't they start slabbing cards that were dipped in juice, creases rubbed out, whatever it might be? Give them a different slab. Let that market have its place. Let that market exist. But people are still gonna. Then I think, well, okay, great idea, Jeremy. But they're still gonna try and get them in a red label first, you know. But if PSA just wants instead of just saying, you know, not slabbable or authentic altered, maybe the authentic altered is this brown label slab. In which case, I would say to PSA, please change the color of the label from red because it's tarnishing the brand. Change it to brown because brown is the color of, you know what. So. Lots of thoughts there. Okay, Leighton, you any follow-up? If you're going to jump off, I want to be sensitive to that. But any follow-up? Because I was just kind of responding to you before we go around the horn.
No, I'm going to try to listen for a few, but I appreciate being on the panel with you gents tonight, and I'll see you guys real soon.
Thanks, Leighton.
You're awesome, Leighton.
Take it easy, guys.
All right. Who wants to pick up from where we're leaving off and add their thoughts?
I can go if.
Okay, Joe. Let's hear from you.
I mean, the conversation brings up so many like sub questions, and I'm going to start off with the human being. You know, Mr. Minty. I met Steve at the very first Burbank card show. Super gracious, super thoughtful, evolved past in the moment. You know, just I think he became aware. All this came to light and emerged maybe in a 2-year period, I would say, maybe 2022 to 2024, where even PSA, you know, included into their, I don't know, whatever the bylaws you enter when you grade a card that, you know, you should not do this. So in effect, it is cheating to submit a card that's been worked, you know, soaked or whatever. So, you know, what we're talking about are the people that, you know, cheated and pulled it off, right? So that's kind of like how I see it, is like, oh, they got away with it. Now, you know, in life, in cards, you know, there's a lot of perspectives. Like some people would celebrate that. Some people would think that that's, you know, wow, okay, we got the man, we got the system, you know, the Death Star, whatever. But then if you look at it on a very sort of basic level, there's going to be a person that gets that card and is getting a card that's been, you know, tampered with. I have a 68 Mantle here. It's authentic altered. It's actually identified as altered. Slab Strong Tim made these wonderful cases here. But I love this card. But part of the reason I love it is because it's identified as what it is. And because of that, I did not pay, you know, PSA 8 1968 prices for a Mantle, which would be a little out of my price range. But I got it at a nice price, and I can still appreciate it as a card that's been altered. It takes away some of the experience for me. I can see it; it's been trimmed, but the whole experience of you know, understanding that you might be inheriting or getting a card that has been altered, there's a victim in that to me. That's how I see it.
Oh man, I could not agree more. There's a victim in it. And these guys, I mean, I know a guy here locally who buys Kurt's Card Care, puts his card, he's told me about it. And I'm just kind of nodding along, and he knows that it's not widely accepted, but he's doing it anyway. And I just know that I will never buy a card from him. And if someone, you know, I was set up at the local show not far from him, however many months ago, and like if anyone comes by my booth and say, yeah, I just bought this from him over there, I'm going to be like, well, you know, you probably have a card that's been gone. It's gone for a swim. It's been in the bath. So you're a victim. You're a victim. Now, you might not care. Do you care? And if they say, I don't care, I say, well, great, have at it. You know, who knows what'll happen. Maybe those fibers have become loose. Maybe the card will fall apart. Or someone put in the chat earlier that Orlando had a card that was dipped in the juice that came back in worse. The stains came back or something reappeared. So you just don't know. And I agree with you, Joe. Josh, what are your thoughts on all this?
All right, so I'm going to get on my high horse for a minute. So there was a time not so long in the past where this was completely unacceptable in the hobby. Like you wouldn't, the fact that someone's posting this, like bragging about it, seriously blows my mind. And maybe I'm showing my age, I don't know, but like you don't do this. And I know people in the chat are saying, well, you press stuff in comic books or pressed. And that's a widely accepted practice in comic books. It's not widely accepted for cards. In fact, it's expressly detested in cards for a very long time. And people who did it, Gary Mosier and everyone like that, are publicly ostracized. So the idea that it's now becoming accepted is, to me, quite frightening, because you're going to start getting cards with wrinkles on them in PSA 9 holders. So even more of a reason to buy the card and not the holder, or not to buy slab cards at all.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah. Agreed. Here, Orlando says, I'm a victim, bought a cleaned card, graded a 6. Now the stains return. So right there, I mean, and you know that Orlando's not pulling our chain. Like, this happened to him. Absolutely. Turf says, Josh, you definitely are showing your age. Okay. Let's hear from Chris Hoge.
Yeah. So definitely echoing all the great points that have been made so far. Maybe the greatest of which is the advent of the brown label, which I could fully get behind. Now, so a couple thoughts here, just for me to take it from a different angle, and I'll address the two things. First of all, I just want to kind of comment generally on the use of solutions and stuff to alter cards, and then second, I want to answer your question, kind of about is the card still the same once it's in a holder? Is that the end of the story? And so on the first one, here's the thing that I kind of go to here: disclosure. So if somebody is truly believes that there's nothing wrong with applying solutions or otherwise altering cards, and as Jeremy, you did point out, those cards are their property by the law. So if they want to cut it in half or do anything else, that's legally protected. Although what also is legally protected is my right to criticize it and to have an opinion on it too. But they have the right to do that with their own property. But then the question becomes one of disclosure, which is, and disclosure matters in a number of contexts, but one of them is when you're selling a card. I think there's Josh. I'm so glad I got to go right after Josh, because he laid the groundwork for this perfectly, which is, there's a long-standing tradition, implicit norms and explicit norms, that say that cards are not meant to be altered, and that if they are, that at the very least that should be revealed to the buyer before they make a buying decision, and that the buyer shouldn't be stripped of the right to make that decision without information of what's been done to modify the card. But then there's also the disclosure to the grading company, which is that the graders ask explicitly in their contracts with the submitter to receive information about if any, specific, any alterations have been performed on these cards. So there's these levels of disclosure that are implicit in the everyday transacting, and we should make them explicit too. As a buyer, I always try to remember to ask that question to any seller. To the best of your knowledge, has anything been done to this card? There's altered it, modified it, etc. Always try to remember to ask that, but I shouldn't have to ask it either. It should be implicit. It should be built into the norms, the disclosure. But the disclosure is explicit when these cards are sent into the grading companies. So there's no wiggle room at all for, well, you didn't ask. No, the grading companies do ask. And so if disclosure isn't given when these submissions are being made or when the cards are being sold, now there's a slam dunk case of manipulation and deceiving people and potentially just outright fraud. Now it's just a slam dunk case. So at that point, the disclosure combined with the action really ratchets this up to the level where it's a huge problem, and it's taking away agency. It's taking away the ability of people to buy, sell, and transact in the space with full knowledge of relevant facts. So that's kind of a quick rundown there on sort of trying to ethically frame the question and then bring in the legality of knowingly manipulating and deceiving people for the purpose of financial gain. And then the other part is sort of like, what about this question of like, once a card is in a PSA 9 holder, does it matter if it's altered or not? And like Orlando's comment was perfectly on point here, which is that the stains returned. And so the fact that can happen means that either at this moment or at some later time, there is a genuine physical difference. And the grading companies indicate that themselves as well. And for the grading companies that provide some form of a guarantee, the guarantee often is guaranteeing, among other things, the technical grade of the card. And the technical grade of an altered card is altered. It's not a numeric grade. So bunch of thoughts there, but generally I agree with all you guys. I just kind of had a different way of formulating it.
Yeah, all good stuff there. I like that you brought in PSA's terms, because PSA does. I read those terms very recently. They don't allow you to send in cards that have been through the dip, through any solution, that kind of thing. Now, as some points were made in the chat, you might not know. Someone had said you might not know the answer to the question. Well, that's fine. I don't think PSA is going to be upset with you. It's not fraud if you don't know. It's fraud if you knowingly answer the question with a lie. So the other thing is that Turner actually made a great comment here. I'm going to find it right here. He says, this isn't just a PSA problem. Altered, soaked, trimmed are making their way past all grading companies. Okay, maybe, but probably. The people buying these slabs are the victims, but so are the grading companies. Very true. The only thing I'll say to that is that the grading companies, especially PSA, 80+% of the market are looked at as the gold standard in this hobby. People assign so much value to cards and PSA slabs because the hobby thinks that PSA gets it right, or at least the uninformed hobby thinks that PSA gets it right all the time, or at least with a very low margin of error. So, okay, so crap, I kind of forget where I was going with that, but I have so many thoughts running through my head right now. Turner's comment, so I do agree with it. And the people buying the slabs are the victims. So are the grading. Oh, where I was going with it was the nice thing and the best thing about PSA is that they have the guarantee. So if you're Orlando and you buy a PSA 6 card and the stain comes back, now it's a PSA 3, you can send it back to PSA and they will reimburse you the difference. As long as you aren't the one who submitted the card for grading, they will reimburse you that difference, because the guy who soaked the card, he paid the insurance for you. He paid that upcharge or whatever the fee was to grade it and paid it for you. So you're going to be the beneficiary of that insurance claim. And I think that's a wonderful thing. Okay, I'm going to do some more comments here. Piper Mac, joining late, love the topic. I'll take a PSA 5 over a higher graded juiced card. Yeah, same here, Piper. Absolutely. Brad's Vintage says, to me, card alteration is the hobby's #1 issue. With shill bidding, I still win a card I want to own. If a card is altered, I don't want it and would not feel comfortable selling it to anyone. If BODA stands for Blowout Detective Agency, and these are guys who are actively searching for these things, and God bless them. Jeremy Filippelli says that it is not the same thing. An altered card in a PSA slab is not the same as an unaltered card in a PSA slab. Michael Rader says, didn't PSA deactivate certain numbers on cards that were previously washed by Kurt's Card Care? Yes, they did. And I think that, and they say it explicitly in their terms, that cards that have been dipped and other, etc., and of course I'm paraphrasing, are not eligible. Team Chevelle says, right or wrong, there is no way this juice gets put back in the bottle. So you might as well get used to having a card that may have been dipped. It's too bad, but well, okay, John, you're shaking. It's too bad, but it's kind of true. Like, if you've got hundreds of slabs, vintage, whatever, you probably have the odd one that's been dipped in the juice or trimmed or something else. Just like if you own hundreds of patch cards, you probably have a few that have fake patches. I think it's just a numbers game at that point. David Chase says, imagine the PSA insurance payouts on all the slabs if they were finally able to detect soaked cards. They don't want to know their slabs that are soaked or trimmed because they'll have to pay out. That may be the case. It's not good for PSA, but hey, they're collecting the insurance premiums. They may as well pay them out every so often, and they do. I heard Nat recently say on some episode that he's cut like $150,000 in checks that day alone or something like that. Brad's Vintage says, if a card is altered and PSA slabs it, the card should be physically stamped in the back as altered. So I think he's saying stamp the card itself as altered, not just write altered on the slab on the label. That one, I think it can be controversial. Guys, hold your thoughts as I run through these, and we'll go around. You guys can address whichever of these comments you want. 35 Auburn says, ignoring provenance is silly. I agree. your earlier segment on the Wagners is a good example. An altered insert grade is only that grade until it's corrected. Right. Brad's Vintage says, I believe alteration is the number one problem in the hobby in shilling. Oh, we did that one. Sorry about that, guys. Linda's first. My own personal belief is it's your card. You can do with it as you please. But if you do something, you have a responsibility to tell the next owner what you did. If you don't, you're a douche. I completely agree. However, I do think that that comment is a little bit short-sighted, because what about the next owner? Who's going to, if I'm going to alter a card and tell Joe, and then Joe, how do I have control that Joe's going to tell Chris, who's going to tell Josh? I don't. That's the problem with disclosure. It only goes one level. You lose control over disclosure after the person after you sells the card again. That's why I say sign it. It's almost like the last comment about stamp the card, impact the card. PSA should etch their logo on there because they've deemed it as altered or dipped or whatever. I think if you're a card artist, and I don't mean the kinds that are creating cards from scratch. I mean, if your art is doctoring cards, take some damn pride in it and put your initials on the card in ink. Like mark it as your own.
Wow.
No one's going to do that.
Wow,
The card professor says, Mr. Minty increased my PSA 10 gem rate of Cooper Flag Instant Panini to 100% from 50 because he eliminated my submitting 9s and the grading cost. Nothing to do with substance-free solutions. Nothing to do with solutions. He was just pre-grading for you, which is great. And with that said, I'm just going to share Mr. Minty's website and show you what he sells so people aren't confused like the Jugs guy in the chat is, okay? This is who has sponsored this show. Mr. Minty, this business right here is a sponsor, and I'm proud to do it. And Steve behind it is a great guy. I've known him for years. This is what he sells. And you will see nothing here is called card alteration. It's holders, it's magnifiers, it's special lights, it's really high whatever, like 1080p digital microscopes. He's selling card guards. He's selling a centering tool. He's selling microfiber cloths. He's selling a mat. He's selling other cloth. He's selling a knife to cut into your packs. It's a box and pack cutter. He's selling branded supplies. That's it. That's what he sells. There's nothing in here that he sells. And listen, I even went to Shop All. We're in Shop All. There's no hidden products. He doesn't sell anything to rub out creases. He doesn't sell anything to rub out corners. None of that. So whatever Nice Jugs was saying, Nice Jugs might be making comments on something that maybe did occur in the past, but not in the present. And I can't even speak to that. And that's irrelevant. We're partnered with this business here, and I support them. Okay. Linda's first says, I don't understand why someone would want to wash away the card's history. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, someone said that, Josh. It comes down to money. Filippelli, people that clean cards are wiping away the history. I agree. Justin Bode says the subject makes me sick. And okay, and that's all I had. Star. There's been 26 new comments since then. So I just caught Cage's comment. Wow, thanks for showing that stuff, Jeremy. I always thought Mr. Minty sold mouthwash. Yeah. And pump out. This is the best ad buy ever. Yeah. Well, good for him. And you know what? Thank you to Mr. Minty for supporting what we're doing here on Sports Cards Live. Okay. I'm going to shut up. We're going to go around. I want to know who wants to go first between the three of you. And while you guys are talking, I will scour for some more comments. But okay, Joe, we're going to start with you.
Well, we seem to be in a rotation here. I like leading off, and Hoj in the 3 spot. Josh, has a higher batting average than I do, but we all do what we can do. He can get me to second base sometimes. Yeah, I mean, when I was 6 years old, I went to Star Market in Berkeley, California, and I tried to put some chiclets in my pocket, and I got caught. And it was very embarrassing, and it was it shamed me. And so I would think that the people working on these cards, with the intention to submit them to grading, would feel shamed, but they may not. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
All right. Thanks for the comments. Let's go around to Chris Hoge, please. Chris Hoge.
All right. What do you call the guy who bats in the second position?
Number 2.
Number 2. Well, from the brown label to the number 2.
Jay Lee, the manager, mixed up the batting line.
I know. I thought I was batting third or cleanup, or I guess not cleanup, but third. But anyway, I will gladly pinch hit here for Josh. Okay. The comment that I wanted to address, I thought there was a ton of great comments as usual. One was really made me think a lot, and it was the pragmatic one, or the uber realism comments, which was basically, we need to resign ourselves to accepting the fact that we're all going to own cards that have been altered and we're not going to know. And there obviously is a practicality to that is just being properly expectation setting for ourselves. But I want to add an appendix to that, appendix Hoge. I want to add to that, which is that it is good to be realistic, but that doesn't mean that we need to resign ourselves to not fighting it, or that doesn't. In other words, a corollary of being realistic about the likelihood of there being some altered cards out there doesn't mean that we also should stop trying to prevent that from happening in the future. And by way of analogy, I would say eventually something's going to cause me to die, but I'm still going to try to prevent my death for as long as possible. And in the same way, maybe eventually I will own an altered card, but I'm going to take as many proactive steps as I can to make sure that it doesn't happen to me, and hopefully it doesn't happen to anybody else either.
Absolutely. Josh Adams. Oh, this is the there he is. There he is.
Right. I'm sure an altered card has passed through my hands once or twice in the years I've been doing this, but I'm still shocked at how mainstream this is becoming, where the people are posting this on public Facebook pages with zero shame at all. Is mind-blowing to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but there is
Coach.
shame, though. There is shame, because I love Jeremy's suggestion, which is let the card doctor sign his work, or her work. Let them sign their work. I think that's such an interesting idea, that this could clear up the disclosure issue quite neatly. And so why doesn't that happen? I think that's a great button to push, and just to keep pushing it. If there's nothing wrong with this, then let's institutionalize the card doctor signing their work.
Yeah, that would be great. I don't think they're going to try and slide it through first. It doesn't get through, then they'll sign the work. Maybe they probably, obviously, still won't do that. But yeah,
getting back to the last, I just wanted to mention one more thing. The philosophical question is, if it's in a 9 holder, then it's a 9, right? That's kind of what I heard from your storytelling, Jay Lee, was like, that was the moment where you were sort of like a little perplexed and I think fairly understandably in major disagreement. It's not a 9 card, right?
Well, I don't think it is. It's an altered card.
Right. So then what we're actually talking about, if we can take, like, okay, there's these bad actors or whatever you want to call them, like, maybe they're just working on their collection. I don't want to pass judgment. But then there's another question, and it kind of gets into, the challenges of graders, right? To, one, detect, and then 2, if they don't detect, then for all of us to have a vigilance around what's in the slab, to not take for gospel that each and every card that's been assessed by a grading team within an organization in a particular moment has got it perfectly right. And I think we do well to just acknowledge that, and it's great PSA does offer some degree, but in the same way that, like, shoplifters, I use my shoplifter metaphor, in the same way that all of us pay for shoplifters, like, when you go into Target or you see what's going on, it's like, oh, wow, that would be interesting, a way to approach it. It's like, who ends up paying that? the consumers, the rest of us that aren't doing that, the ones that aren't cheating. That's why it's cheating, because it's hurting other people, not just Orlando or any other person who receives the specific card, but for PSA to have to sort of incorporate that into their value proposition, like all of us are in some way paying for that.
Absolutely. It's out there. It's not going to stop, I don't think, unfortunately. So all we can do is educate ourselves and have little tricks up our sleeves to discover things, to understand what to look for, that kind of thing. And know who you're buying from. Try to, like Chris said, I think Chris said it, ask the question when you're buying from a vendor, do you dip cards in juice? Did you work on this card? Did you submit the card yourself? Right? Some people won't know the answer. And I mean, these guys are probably slick enough to know not to sell them themselves or to sell them through third parties, that kind of thing, which is unfortunate, but it's definitely happening. 100% it's happening. And it's a sad state of affairs, but it is the reality, I believe, of the situation. Team Chevelle here says, no way PSA refunds you for a stain reappearing. I think they do. I think they will if the card no longer grades the grade that the holder, they have a grade guarantee. So Chevelle, I think they would if that stain reappearing would lower the technical grade assigned by them. I think it would. David Chase says, cracking a slab and submitting it for a higher grade is also rarely discussed. No one wants a card slabbed an 8 that becomes a 9 on a grader's good day either. No one's doing any of this. Absolutely. People don't disclose that either. He's right. You resubmit a card, you take an 8, you crack it and resubmit it and get a 9. You're not putting a sticker on that PSN that says formerly an 8. You're not doing that either. Go ahead, Chris.
They do disclose the other way, though. If they had a BGS 9.5 that becomes a PSA 8, they definitely want you to know that it used to be a BGS 9.5. I see that on eBay every day.
Absolutely. Okay, some more comments here. Jug says, for the third time, any appearance of Mr. Minty, the person or the great Curator pod. Yeah, I can't speak to what happened with Mr. Minty on the Great Curator podcast 4 years ago. I think the Great Curator is all about cartoon cards now. I haven't seen anything from that guy in years, it feels like. So if Mr. Minty ever did alter a card, he's not doing it anymore. I've taken scissors to cards before as well. When I was 12 or 13 years old, I'm sure I took scissors to cards. I think you guys can forgive me, and by that, I know it's a little bit crazy, but like all these people that are doing it on the Facebook group that I showed you, some of them don't know that it's wrong. They don't know that it's wrong. So, there was also a comment somebody made right here, BP Squared. The hobby has a history of being too forgiving and or forgetful. Maybe forgiving, but not forgetful. The hobby is not forgetting about anything that's been done in the past. They're not. People still talk about Mastro. People still talk about, you name any person. They talk about, they don't give up on Probstein. They're not giving up on Brent Higgins. They're not giving up on, there was someone listed a bunch of names earlier on. The hobby is not forgetting. And with social media, it continues to be said. David Chase says, devil's advocate question, if a soaked or trimmed card is never detected, does it really hurt us? Well, that's a good question. Does it really hurt us? Yes, I'll tell you why it does hurt us. It hurts us because it perpetuates the activity. It validates the success of people, and they will keep on doing it. And then the hobby becomes, what percentage of cards are now like that? So yes, it certainly hurts us. If we never know about any of it, does it hurt us then? Good question. I don't know. Go ahead, Josh.
I mean, this has been going on in the hobby for like decades, right? This isn't a new thing. Like there's been the very first card PSA ever graded, it's a trim card. So, I mean, this is not like a new, Kurt didn't raise this himself. This has been going on ever since the Pop Report started, probably even before that. Or set registry, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely. It's been going on, and it's going to continue. It's been going on. It's I mean, PSA should have decertified that a long time ago, that card. They know, but yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. Absolutely. All right. Let's move on. I'm just looking to see what else I had lined up here. So we went through those. We went through that. I'm going to close that one. Close that one. We talked about the slam score. And we talked about Miller and Miller's auction. We talked about Mr. Minty. Close that one. Okay. Good. All right.
Hey, I just want to say one thing.
Yo.
Happy 300th episode. Happy 300th Saturday night, Jay Lee. You're the man. You've done it. What is that? Like 6 years, 5 years, 6 years? Congratulations.
We are coming up on 6 years, Joe. We are coming up on 6 years here. It'll be April. Yeah, this sports card. I mean, there's been over 800 episodes on the channel, mostly live streams, but this is the 300th Sports Cards Live flagship episode, if you will. And we're not stopping. This is going to go for decades, hopefully.
Saturday night. One more Saturday night.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna keep on going. Keep on. Thank you, Justin Bode, buddy. He's been around since the early days. Justin, thank you, Piper Mac. I appreciate it. Thank you, Situational Adventures. Thank you, Cage. Thank you. Oh, Kinger is here. What is up, Kinger? What is up? What is up? All right. What do you got, Hoj? You got a topic that you brought? Because I think I've gone through everything that I had on my list here. We talked about the spectrum. We talked about pops and comps. Yes. I've got everything off my list. Hoj, why don't you introduce one or an option? Maybe we have a bevy for us to choose from.
Okay, and before I give the bevy, let me just circle back to something from earlier in the episode that I heard when I was listening earlier, and I just wanted to inject it, give you anybody else a chance to reply to it, and then I'll give the bevy. But that was it was in relation to what regulations, consumer protections, or laws might exist to protect the privacy, the data, the bid histories, etc. of people who have logged bid histories on various platforms, made purchasing decisions, have sensitive information, financial and otherwise stored there. And I just want to make it clear that there are tons of regulations that protect this. Tons of regulations that protect marketplaces, that protect consumers of marketplaces, tons of regulations that protect consumer data, tons of regulations that protect your privacy. There's consumer protections, there's privacy laws, there's all sorts of stuff. And like a really quick, if there's ever a fear that one of us might have been exposed to some of them at any time, a really quick consultation with an LLM can help sort of explain what some of those are on the federal level. And if you want to give information about your local jurisdiction, it can help you there too. And then it was obviously going to eventually guide you to talk to an attorney, which would definitely be a good idea also. But then that doesn't wipe away the fact that that people are taking advantage of folks, and that we have a live ongoing data breach scenario that's still unresolved, or at least hasn't had any punctuation marks put on the end of it yet. So, we're still, this isn't to say that it's not an issue. It's a huge issue. And privacy is an issue at the highest levels of Silicon Valley, let alone down here in our little hobby and our little niche. So these are huge issues. And I'm not trying to make it seem like that just because these protections exist, that we shouldn't be worried about them. The fact that these protections exist should make us extra vigilant to activate them, because ultimately we do have to fight for ourselves in order to make sure that we protect ourselves. But there are lots of tools and resources we can avail ourselves of if there are bad guys out there taking advantage of our data online. So I just wanted to add that to the discussion, and then I'll pause for a second if anybody wants to comment on that further, or if you want to, Jeremy.
Let's start with Joe, if that's okay, Chris. Let's go around the horn. I usually go first. We'll bring me on a bit later.
I just spot on and agree with everything Hoj said. I mean, that's like we've got to be our own most vigilant, protectors. But happy to hear. Like I did not know all that, but I'm glad that exists. And yet, you have to, in some ways, fight for your rights.
Josh Adams?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's tons of regulations protecting consumer data with websites and storing data and financial information. So, and we, so you're protected.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I don't really have much to add to that one, Chris.
Yeah, no, that was just more of a comment than anything.
Yeah.
But okay, now here's the menu. I'll give you 3 options. All right. The first option is inspired by Joe, which is, shall we sort of discuss our experiences and our strategies towards the premeditated purchase, which is weeks, months, years in the making, versus the spontaneous purchase, which just sort of the lightning strikes. We're walking the card show. We log into Premiere. Logging into Premiere is crazy. But, sometimes it's just the card speaks to you, and then that magical moment can actually transcend and supersede overthinking and too much deliberation. So that's one topic, premeditation versus spontaneous. Topic 2 was actually inspired by a question that Perimeter Collectibles sent into the crossover about a week ago, where he points out that there have been some high-end auctions where it wasn't clear if a card had an on-card autograph or a sticker autograph, and it seems like the picture was edited sort of to almost make it difficult to tell whether it was a sticker or not. And so that's the example, but there's just a bigger topic, which is, what are the standards and advice that we as collectors would give or even demand from marketplaces and from sellers in terms of how accurate should the pictures be? Is any level of modification acceptable? Can they tweak the saturation? Can they put any filters? How much should we expect? How much leeway should we give there, with the jumping off point being the sticker autograph, and sometimes that can be hard to tell. And then the third option is just about making content, which we all do on some level as collectors, which is, how do you balance making content for the general audience so it's interesting to them, but how do you balance that with your own passions of just like, these are my cards, this is what I really want to talk about, and how do I strike that balance? I'm so interested in how people might approach that. Okay, so there's 3 options, A, B, and C.
Josh, let's go to you. I'm sorry, Chris, I was distracted. I'm gonna go to Josh first on this one.
Josh, A, B, or C, man? Which one?
A. Do A. What was A?
Okay, A was Joe, the premeditated purchase versus the spontaneous purchase. Like, I'm sure you probably had both, right?
Both are awesome. The premeditated even feels better, though, because the spontaneous feels better because it's like you didn't expect it. I did that last year. There's a card I really wanted. I'm like, oh my god, it ends in 6 hours. Boom! It's the best. My favorite saying: "Money's for spending." I'm glad you bought that. It's awesome. You can't take it with you. What else are you gonna do with it? Buy cards.
Well, maybe I can take it with me. The concept of the coffin card has been in my mind. King Tut and all of that. Like, I finally found a card that I could actually, that I might want to have this card close. But my response to, just real quick on the Hojes, coming in hot versus deliberate. I was lucky that I didn't get myself too far over my skis. I was lucky that there was an app like Card Ladder that allowed me to do a little bit of research in a short amount of time. And I also had a lot of instincts at play. I was very much proximate to my own reckoning of, like, does this make sense? Is this a reasonable, and is this the kind of card that you would want to do this with? So all those boxes were checked. Now, what I would say on the negative side of more of an impulsive buy, is that I did not think about my consolidation plan very clearly. And I've already made what I feel is a mistake, as I'm in the process of trying to, regain capital and devote those funds in the direction of the Curry. And so, that's a lesson. We all pay our hobby dues. We pay our, our fees of, education, I guess you could say, the dues, as some people are wont to say. But that said, I think it can go both ways. I mean, I think you can find yourself in a moment, and mine's small potatoes. You guys swim in much deeper waters, and so, like, I wouldn't recommend that for like a Cracker Jack Joe Jackson or a Christian McCaffrey Shield Logo Man card. But for my little fishbowl, I think it's going to work out. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Joe,
Chris,
I'm small time compared to you. Sorry, Joe.
No, it's okay, Josh. Chris, can you restate the question for me? I apologize. I was distracted. I'm no longer distracted.
Also, Joe, no one is smaller time than me. I just would like to say that. So,
Mr. Jordan 101.
but if we're having the small time Olympics here, I'd like to make my case. But all right, Jeremy. The topic is this. The topic is premeditated card purchases, where we look at the premiere listing and we have a month or weeks to think about it, and we hem and we haw, kind of like what I'm going with that other card over on that other auction house. So that you have the premeditated, and then you put in plans for how you might finance it, and you start deliberating and everything. Or the alternative is just the spontaneous purchase, which I think happens at card shows especially, but it can certainly happen in an online auction too. The spontaneous purchase at the card show, where you're just walking around, a card really catches your eye at a table, and it's so hard to resist the temptation to buy cards when you're at a card show. The dealer even, can I look at that? Oh, yeah, sure. Put it in my hand. I'm just like, all right, what can you do here? Because and I've found that often a lot of the cards that I buy at card shows in particular have a high probability of not lasting for the long haul in my collection. I just I was high in the moment, and then I get back home with my own thoughts, and I'm like, I don't know. So anyway, that's the discussion. Premeditated purchases versus spontaneous purchases. Any experience you have in either category, and maybe how you approach it. Yeah,
tons of experience. I mean, because you can spontaneously buy a card that catches your eye at a card show, or you can do the same thing like Joe, like Joe Joe premeditated, but you can do the same thing surfing eBay, looking at
not too much.
Saved searches might be a little bit different, right? Because the saved search, you premeditated that you are even interested in seeing these cards in the first place. So that's a bit different. But when you're going through your saved searches or your watch list, now they're putting all other cards you might be interested in. You might see one there, grab it. You take delivery of it, and you just might not like it as much when you get it. Same thing happens at card shows. I mean, I love, when people say to you anything you're looking at, I'm like, not. I mean, I will say one card that I know they don't have, because I just want to get the question over with. Or I'll say just whatever catches my eye, and that's something that I mean. I want, and today I went to the local card show. This caught my eye. It's a Joe Montana game used piece of patch.
There we
patch,
go.
Not even jersey. Numbered out of 50.
There's no way you walked into that show thinking, I'm looking for this Joe Montana game use patch out of 50.
No way I thought that. And now I own it. And it's numbered out of 50. I might have said 150, numbered out of 50. And I'm gonna own it. I'm gonna keep it for a while. I don't know that it's a lifelong hold for me, but it caught my eye, so I bought it. I just like the card. Sometimes I feel like I'm not alone. A lot of us do that. We buy these cards that we like them, and we want to own them for maybe not ever. Maybe it is a short term. Maybe it's a short term PC piece, and it's in our PC for that short term. PC I don't think has to be till death to us part sort of thing. So, I mean, I will own this card. Maybe I'll own it for a couple of years, and then I'll have had my time with it. Time to move on. And I will, again. So, but when you, the work that I put into the Joe Jackson, I mean, just to take the other extreme, a serious extreme, yeah, that's a card that I know I'm not going to ever tire of. I've owned it for a year almost, just under 10 months, and probably never going to sell that card, until I'm selling my whole collection at the end of, when I think I'm closing in on the end of life. So, yeah, it's a fun topic. And then there's cards that you buy them very impulsively, and they kick off a whole new branch of your collection, and they can become some of your favorite cards that you'll ever own. So it can work in different ways for sure. Yeah.
There's also something to be said. I think your Joe Montana example is actually a very, very illustrative one, because even though it was a spontaneous purchase, even though you didn't walk into the show looking for that card, it checks a lot of your boxes. It's one of the all-time great quarterbacks. It's a game-used card. It probably looks great in hand. You already have a model, or you already have a formula or an algorithm that informs sort of what you're looking for. And if a card you come across a card and it fits what you're looking for, then sort of the decision fires. It just happens. You make the purchase. And so I think the more experience we have, sort of the more comfortable and seasoned we are in knowing what we like and having really thought through our collecting principles, the more likely we are to be able to to seize the moment when a card like that pops up. Like Dan had a nice comment when he said, like, when you collect low pop pre-war, the spontaneous purchase is really important because you never know what's going to pop up. And that kind of speaks to this idea of like you already knowing in your mind sort of what I'm looking for without being overly specific.
This one here, when you collect low pop pre-war, the spontaneous purchase is an important part. Well, that's what happened to me at the National. I was looking for the 41 play ball Joe DiMaggio, and I get to the vendor's booth, and right beside it is the 48 leaf Joe DiMaggio, which was on my list, but way down. I'm like, I got to find a way to get both these cards. I love the copy. It's the one for me. And the spontaneity took a good chunk out of my wallet that day and impacted the show. But now I love the card. And it wasn't a card that was high up on my want list, but that was my mistake. It should have been higher up. So definitely something that happens. Joe, how are you doing for time?
I got a couple more minutes, and then I should bounce.
Okay, no worries. Well, we're going to go for about 20 more minutes or so anyway. So whenever you got to bounce, just let us know, Joe. No
Cool.
problem at all.
But I mean, Hoj, like, I think of you as a very deliberate, collector. Have there been times where you've
Yes.
impulsive? Like what
Joe?
are some of your most impulsive moments, or significantly impulsive moments?
Well, first of all, I'm an impulsive drinker of green tea, and this morning I was driving to Starbucks to get my 3 cups. Usually I get 4, but today I got 3, so we could get Christina a drink and then fit them all into the one holder, the four rack. And so as I was coming back from that drive, eBay shouted a notification at me through my phone. And the notification was this Christian McCaffrey, totally certified, black 1 of 1, not a rookie year card, in a 49ers uniform. I think it was 2024, maybe 2023. And I just got this notification, auction ending in 14 minutes. And I opened the notification. I was like, oh, I put this on my watch list. I've specifically limited my Christian McCaffrey collection to not collecting cards like this. I used to collect cards like this. Now I don't. But man, look at that card, and it's only $120, and there's 14 minutes left, and why don't I just bid a little bit of money? I was really thinking that, like I was really hemming and hawing, and I pulled to the side of the road, and I sort of watched it, and then you know what I did though? I just let the auction end. I didn't put in a bid. Sold for $200. I didn't buy it. I resisted the spontaneous temptation.
This is
Right.
I was ready for a 6-figure moment of an MJ 1 of 1. I mean, this is
But
the
it was
moment.
but it's so funny, Joe. I think like on some unconscious level, I was thinking about your experience. I don't know. It just like I saw the card and it really impacted me. It was like it was a pivotal moment, and the notification was just like gripping me. But I stayed back. I stayed away. You know, I'm glad that I did. You know what else I was thinking? I was thinking, $200, which is what this card went for. It's a sizable sum, but it's not a bank breaker. Okay. But I started thinking to myself, like, that's like if I do this like 5 times, like that puts a real dent into my card budget, and all of a sudden I've accumulated these $200 cards, which in the spur of the moment feel fun and are cool, but then it's really not like I'm going to be upset that I did this when I wish I had $1,000 to buy a different card later.
Fair.
All right, going to go through a few comments here, guys. First of all, the Hobby with Cage is 300th solo episode. Hobby with Cage episode is tomorrow.
That is crazy. It's such a coincidence.
I mean, he did like 1,200 episodes with Andrew back in the day. And then I think he did some work with DPZ for a while. Dennis, who does something with Dustin on the Sports Card Dad channel. They have a show together. I did some shows with DPZ myself. We did a show called Taking Stock. We did like 13 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
And that fizzled out, but congratulations to I don't know. I've probably heard 50, 60 of those episodes. I haven't listened to Cage in a while, but I'm going to put him back into my rotation, Cage. And congratulations on episode number 300. Foul Ball is congratulating me on 300. Thank you, Foul Ball. Rage, congrats on 300, Jay Lee. I've been here since episode 10 or so. You have been, Rage. You get the announcement still, buddy. Thank you, Michael Rader, for the congrats. It says truly historic achievement. I appreciate it. Luniker says that the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle on Miller and Miller's at $40,000 Canadian, 19 hours left, would take this over any modern card. Yeah, we profiled that on a show here with them on this past week. Zach Pierce says that's what card shows are about. Have things I look at, but also look at stuff I'm not hunting every day and sometimes buy just because. Go ahead, Chris.
Jeremy, if we all could just guesstimate, there's no way of knowing, what percentage of purchases at a card show are truly premeditated? I walk in looking for an 86 Fleer Michael Jordan and I buy it. Versus what percentage of purchases at a card show across the whole show? Like I just went to the Front Row show in San Diego. There's probably tens and tens of thousands of transactions. How many of them were somebody looking for that specific card? They walked around from table to table until they found it. And how many were not? How many were just walking around? Oh, that card caught my eye. I think Christina and I bought 2 cards at that show. Neither was even close to premeditated. One was Michael Porter Jr., totally certified black 1 of 1 from 2024-25, totally certified, which is just a cool looking card that caught my eye. And then the other one I won't say because it's going to be a gift for somebody. But there's like 100% of my purchases at that show were spontaneous. Not even cards that were even close to my mind when I walked in the show. So what percentage? What percentage do you think of at a given show?
Yeah, I'm with BWS and Linda's first here with saying 90-95% are spontaneous, and the reason why are simply really because of, if we're just talking the pure number of cards, I think most are spontaneous because things like dollar boxes, people might be like, you might go into a card show, say I'm looking for Steve Yzerman cards of the Detroit Red Wings. Is that premeditated if you find 30 of them? Or do you have to go in looking for, you might not find the one you really want. You might just say, oh, like, I think that might be premeditated actually. But I'm thinking about the dollar boxes. I'm thinking about the value boxes. People are buying stacks of cards out of these things that they're just buying because, well, they want them to flip or because they want them for themselves. But I think it's a very high number that is not premeditated. Mollico said 25% premeditated. I think that might be the high point. Josh, what are you thinking?
I think it depends. I think most of the fun of a card show is seeing what pops up there. But there's a lot of set builders out there who are just parked themselves at a table and have checklists and like, I'm buying these 50 cards for my set. So I think it depends on the person. I think me, you, or Chris, definitely it's 95% spontaneous.
That's the question, though, I think, Josh, is like, then it's like, what percent of people are going in with specific want lists versus what percent of people are just going in? So take a card show. It's not about the type of person. I understand what you're saying. It depends on the type of person.
Right.
But card shows are a cross section of all types of collectors. Right. So really, you have to mix it all together and say, put all the people in with all of their motivations and reasons and come up with a percentage there. Yeah, and like Chris said, it's going to be impossible to come up with, but you can just guess. And actually, the more I think about it, the more you think about you think about what you said, Josh. The set collectors, the player collectors. I would say that player collectors who only collect their player, is that how does it, you were the question asker, Chris, so let's go back to you. Does that fit into premeditated or not?
Premeditation definitely admits of degrees. Like if I'm a Luka collector and I walk in and like, oh, here's his immaculate. This happened to be once at the Dallas card show like 4 or 5 years ago. I walked in, I saw his immaculate RPA. And I was like, yeah, it's a really great card. It's certainly not one that I would have had on any list walking into the show, but it is of my PC player. It checks a lot of boxes. To me, I say that's not premeditated. Premeditated to me means I am looking for these specific cards. I've been coveting these cards. These are the cards that I want. And then I still end up buying something that's not on that list. It still might check a lot of boxes, but it's not on my active list. Then that's more of a spontaneous buy. And I think some people only do spontaneous buys. I think plenty of people don't have lists. I think plenty of people just kind of have a general idea of what they like, and then they wait to see something that sort of fits into that box, then they buy it.
There's a lot of people like that. Absolutely. Buy what you like. And yeah, and plus, we're always discovering new cards. Like, always. You can go into an LCS and see a card on a shelf or a card show or eBay or anywhere and just decide that this is going to be the beginning of something for you. Or I've met collectors that come by my booth at the expo or whatever show, and they literally don't have any rhyme or reason. They they just buy what catches their eye. And then you think about people who, we had this conversation on an episode not too long ago, people who collect by breaking. It's like, it's a different thing, but you're only collecting cards that come out of packs for you. So you're literally just throwing darts. You don't even care what you collect. You just want to collect the things that you remember opening out of packs. And that's fine. If no issue with that. If you're okay with it, if you're okay with that, and getting 25% of the value out of what you're spending money on, that's great too. But hey, you don't have to care about the value of your cards. And according to the Hobby Spectrum, the snapshot, which I'll share with you guys right now, if you look at this piece right here, of the 581 people who have opted into the directory, look at this. I mean, the bottom half it's dominant. You've got 10% purist, 30% nostalgic, 26% precisionist, and 21% hybrid. It falls off greatly into builder, operator, tycoon, and even purist is only 10%. So most people in that nostalgic purist, especially the first two archetypes, supposedly those collectors don't care about values of their cards at all, sort of thing. So good night, Joe. You out of here?
Yeah, what a wonderful night. Thanks so much, everybody. And we'll see you on another illustrious Saturday night. Take care, fellas.
Thanks, Joe. Talk to you soon, buddy.
See you, Joe.
Peace.
And he's gone, and he's out of here. All right. Yeah, fun topic there. Any other comments based on anything that was just said from you, Chris, or you, Josh? Chris, you sort of have a bow to put on that, don't you?
I just think that's good. I think we don't know, but it's fun to think about. And there's something very insightful for dealers who are setting up at shows, just trying to decide what cards to set out. I think I would certainly want to understand how many people are deliberately coming in and how many people are really open-minded.
Yeah.
So I think it's something worth thinking about for sure.
Guys, check out the ticker right now. CIA Auctions, channel partner. Their February auction preview goes live on January the 29th and will run from February 5th to 15th. Please visit collectorinvestorauctions.com to register and bid. Collector Investor Auctions, run by Jeremy the Texas Snowman and everybody's favorite YouTuber, Chris Sewell, collector, investor, dealer, in that order. I would also like to shout out Mint Inc., another fabulous sports cards live supporter, partner. I'm going to put they have a discount code right here. If you use promo code SCL5 for 5% off your first purchase at mintinc.ca, worldwide shipping, guys. They deliver the ultimate hobby experience from live whatnot streams and auctions to grading breaks, 2 full retail stores in the Greater Toronto area. They do it all, buying collections 7 days a week. Click the link in the description below. Promo code SCL5 for 5% off your first purchase. Shop online anytime. Worldwide shipping. Mint Inc., where collecting comes to life. Thank you to all partners and sponsors of the show. All right. Chris, any other topics, guys, that you guys wanted to... I want to shout out Card Ladder, of which Chris Hoge is a co-founder, and I believe the CEO. You can see the Card Ladder logo just up to the right of his shirt there, guys. If you include comps in your valuation process and you prefer vetted and completed data points, Card Ladder is what I use on the regular affiliate link in the description below. And I got to tell you, a couple of you guys have been clicking it because I'm getting more and more emails from Christina regularly saying that I've earned a small commission. So thank you to you guys who are doing that. It does help keep me here and bringing you this content. So I'm grateful for that. And yeah. Also, use Card Ladder. Thank you, Jeremy from California. Good. Thank you. Nick Chen says, good show. Thank you, Nick Chen. Appreciate it. We're not necessarily running the OVAs quite yet here, but we might soon.
It's egg time.
Hey, we need a follow-up. We need an update from you, Chris, on what's going on, if you're willing to.
I'm leaning against. You're
leaning against decimating the whole collection in order to pick up one card.
Yeah, and it's not because it's a decimation, though. That's not why.
Ooh.
It's because the value proposition, I have a really hard time wrapping my head around it, because, I've been studying at great length these first 72 one-of-ones of Michael Jordan, and some of them are just 1% of the value of the projected estimate of this one. And I just can't. I just think there's a genuine imbalance there, and I just think I would rather have these other ones at 1% of the value of that one. That's just how the price is playing a big factor here for me. I just, now maybe the one at auction goes way lower than I think it's going to go, and then maybe my calculus changes. But right now, the price is what's going to end up prohibiting me.
Do you have a number in mind where the day of the auction, if it's below a certain number, that you're a player?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do some content around that. I think I'm going to make on a future Hojcast. I think, because I don't know exactly what the number is right now, but I do know generally how I would get that number, and I think I'm going to maybe do a segment or something where I triangulate it and I show this is roughly, looking at similar players, what their platinum medallion versus the masterpiece goes for, and sort of come up with a rough estimate of where the MJ should be. And then if it stays in this range, maybe I'm comfortable with that. But I also think that there's these other MJ 1-of-1s that are just not as high profile. They haven't been as hyped up. They're not as popular. They're not as mainstream. That just really provide a better bang for the buck. So that's the thing that I just can't get away from.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm not a fan of the deal for you. I'm not a fan of that maneuver. I think it's the price is high, but I think you got a great collection. And yes, it would all be converted into one big card. Josh, I know Josh feels the other way. So Josh, why don't you pipe in and tell Chris he's making a mistake?
No, I'm not gonna. Chris always thinks things through. I finally watched your episode about this, and I think I'm coming from a different position where I'm not a big modern guy collector, but obviously I understand your connection to those players, and those cards are very important to you. Plus, the valuation argument is very strong. So, I mean, you gotta do what you think is your collection, right? You're the curator of your own collection.
As Situational Venture says, Chris builds a trial case for every card purchase. No, this comment is already about 14 minutes old, but it applies here in this situation as well.
Yeah.
He goes on to say, another comment. He says, the Decimation versus Jordan 1-of-1 is your best episode I've watched, Chris. Yeah.
Very kind. Very kind.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. BW, are we live streaming during the auction? When does that end? I mean, it's a heritage auction, right, Chris?
Yeah, I don't even think the launch date is specified yet. It's roughly
end of February.
Yeah, end of February. Yeah.
There's some great stuff in that auction. There's some great other MJ stuff in there.
I'm sure there is.
I mean, there's nothing else in there. No one should be looking at it. It's terrible.
All right. Any other thoughts, comments, topics? I mean, I got all my stuff out earlier on in this episode, at least, but open to anything else that either of you guys want to talk about, or if the chat has any other comments. I think I just saw Josh put his hand up. Yes.
All right. Two things. Someone asked if I'm wearing a Nordiques jersey. I totally am. It's nice. Peter Forsberg. Here, see if he showed up. Yeah. It's a Forsberg jersey. I've been looking for, I bought this 10 years ago. I couldn't find it for the longest time. It was in my kid's drawer. So I wanted to wear it tonight. I wanted to go to Chris's second option, B, about how important images are. And, as someone who, sells cards on an auction platform, image is very important. And you should, as a buyer who buys lots at auction, you should know what you're getting, especially if that factor is going to influence whether you're buying the card or not. Like if it's a sticker auto or on card auto is pretty important. And the saturation, I would say don't mess with the saturation. It's what you see is what you get. So when you click on the image, it's the same card as in hand. It's what I bought versus what I got. So I just think it's being honest, and being honest is probably the most important thing when you're dealing with people's money.
For sure.
How can you argue with that? I think that's right. I hadn't thought of it that way. The standard of what the image should look like should be representative of what it ultimately ends up looking like when it's in your hand. I think that makes a lot of sense.
I'm sort of concerned about that at times too. Actually, there was a card that there was on the Fanatics premiere the other night. There was a card that I really liked the looks of, the autograph. And I found on Card Ladder that it had sold in the past and on another platform. And the autograph didn't look as good in that image as it looked in the one on Fanatics. And it was the same ink. This was not a re-signed or traced over sort of, it was even the streak was in the exact same, it couldn't have been replicated. It was the same auto. And I was looking at, and I was thinking to myself, like, is the Fanatics Collect, is the image like brightened up or anything like that? And it wasn't. Like I'm 95% certain it was a good image that would have reflected what the card looked like when you had it in hand. Then I went back to this old image. I'm like, the whole thing was darker. It just was not a well taken photograph. The photograph wasn't well taken of the card to really showcase the auto. And I started wondering, I wonder if it hurt the sale the first time of that card. And it may or may not have. I mean, you don't know. I mean, the last time it was sold could have been, I don't remember when it was. Let's say it was a year ago. Who knows? The auto, there's other factors that could have impacted the price over a year versus just that image is what I'm getting at. So my point being is that some images are so crappy on some, like, many eBay images are just terrible because people don't put the time and effort into it. Some eBay images, especially ones that are done by the bigger third-party consigners, they take pride and they take good images of their cards. If you're selling cards that come like non-autograph or even autograph, but if you're using the images that PSA gives you now with you grade your cards, those are usually pretty good images. But be careful. I guess what I'm trying to get at as far as like providing value to the audience, to the listeners and viewers, is be careful of images that are enhanced, but at the same time, don't always dismiss an image that might be dull. Like, look at how the label looks, look at the background, maybe even send a message and say, hey, can you send me another picture in different light? Because you might dismiss a card that you otherwise would really want. So yeah. And again, it comes down to other people's money and your own money and what people are paying for things. So it's good to know as much as you can. And it's one of the benefits to buying cards in person at a show or going to a card show and looking at the cards that auction houses are going to have for sale in their upcoming auctions, because they often have them on exhibit at the card show, especially the bigger ones, whether it's the Expo, the National, even some others, I'm sure, Fanatics Fest and I bet, when Heritage sets up at the Expo or at the West Coast Card Show, REA does this at the shows they're at. They show the cards coming in the next auction. The Philly show, I've seen them there too. It's a great opportunity to inspect before you buy just based on pictures on your screen. So a little bit of advice there. All right. I guess we could wrap this up then, guys. I just feel like, the 300th Sports Cards Live, having fun here. We're covering lots of interesting topics tonight. Kind of hesitate to wrap it up, but if we have no more topics, we will wrap it up. So I guess that's where we're at. All right. Yeah. Oh, wait. Justin Bode says, I think you should go for that MJ Hoge. Just my opinion, just for the right price. Yeah. Well, I think that's a fair comment. And we kind of touched on that already, but thank you, Justin Bode, and for being here for like 5 years plus with us on the show and in the chat. Mike Robe says, I recently saw a 1977 Star Wars Goldenrod card from the Green series, which appeared blue. Made me wonder if it was a double error. Ooh, interesting. Could be, yeah, interesting. And he is talking about the C-3PO card right there. Ron Fig says you might want to run the pictures through an AI detector nowadays. Yeah, I mean, even so Maddie C from Instagram, his new website, Eye Appeal Inc., which is all about judging a card based on its eye appeal. And he just ran an update like earlier this month where when the assessor or the grader of the card is doing it, he's now blurred out the grade. So you're doing it without any bias entering by knowing what the grade itself is. And anyway, he also has a little button on each card which says report a juiced scan. So because the juicing up a scan, like adjusting a scan for brightness, saturation, any of those things could mislead people. It will mislead people. So I know when I'm creating thumbnails for certain episodes, because the thumbnails are small, I increase the saturation to make it so you can actually see it on the thumbnail. But if you're doing that before you're putting a card for sale, like, don't do that. That's not good. Yes, sir, Jay Lee. Thank you, Lapper. Aaron, congratsing on the 300. Boozle, I was going to quit the hobby today, but Jeremy's 300 episode changed my mind. Glad to keep you in the hobby, Justin. Bob Boozle. Absolutely. Brad's Vintage, thanks for hanging out with us, and congrats on 300. Thank you, Brad's Vintage. Thank you, Mike Robe. Appreciates our insights and knowledge. Chris C is congratulating on 300. Jeremy Filippelli, appreciate you. Michael Rader, appreciate you. Kinger, good weekend. Yeah, same to you. Linda's first, thank you so much. Likely not doing Fanatics Collect Weekly tomorrow night, guys, but should be back the week after, I think. Although I am on vacation for 2 weekends in February. So be advised that there will be a lull here for probably 2 weekends in a row. My apologies, but dude's got to take a vacation as well. Mike Good, Jeremy, look back and pass my comment on the crisp, please. I will look back for you, Mike Good. I don't know how much. I'm not going to go too far back, but you might want to copy and paste it in again. Oh, right here. Chris, one card with lots of value or multiple ones? Okay, this is for you. Chris, one card with lots of value or multiple one-of-ones that you'll never get back. I would take multiple cards over the one. He's saying they're all one-of-ones. You're giving up a lot of one-of-ones to get one one-of-one, I think is what he's saying, right?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. And Jeremy, come back to me one more time before we over, because I do have a note to end on.
Chris C says, when you have a museum-like collection, why trim it to just one? Yeah, that kind of sums up, and same with Mike Good's comment, kind of what I was saying last week to you, Chris.
Yeah, I agree with it.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you agree with it, because you did the research, you put in a lot of time,
right?
And even though you're actually leading with your head and your heart versus the research, which is more head and maybe not a lot of heart, but you're also leading with finances, which are a limiting factor for a lot of people.
Totally.
Definitely. David Marone is here. What's up, Dave? Thank you so much for everything you are doing. Dave Marone, actually. So, people have asked me about shirts and hats over the years and never really done much with it. There's been a few, but Dave Marone is, he runs these kinds of things for people. He's a card guy, and where he's helping me build a bit of a merch line here, which will be very limited, baseball caps, shirts, hoodies, and toques, which you guys south of the border call beanies, but they're called toques. Anyway, we're going to have some of that, and who knows, maybe a few other shirts along the way, not just like Sports Cards Live logos, but some other merch as well. So that's going to be coming soon. I think the samples are on their way, because after wearing the Card Ladder hoodie a lot and the Slab Sharks hoodie, which are my two favorite hoodies, I got to at least have one that's at least as nice as what these guys are offering. So Yankees fan, the hat that Joe has is discontinued. There will be a new one coming out, but I appreciate that, and I'm sorry. Bob Boozle needs a bib. He wants a Sports Cards Live bib for the buffet. God, you know what? That's
not bad.
Dave Marone, pay heed. We might need to offer bibs with and we'll co-brand it. We'll co-brand it with Bob Boozle, the Bob Boozle Sports Cards Live bib. I love it. All right. I think we're going to wrap up. But let's go to Chris then for his final comment before we truly end the episode. Chris.
Yeah, so I'd like to point out 4 areas where the number 300 is significant in culture and in life to sort of draw a close to the 300th episode. So first of all, we all know about the 300 Spartans who turned 300 into a symbolic number for the small force versus taking on a giant army and still somehow persevering and winning. Also, the second example I'll give you here is in human biology. Newborns have 300 bones, which then later fuse into 206 as an adult. So the 300 bones of a newborn is a factor here. The second to last one I'll give you is that in finance, the lowest score you can get on your credit score is 300. So 300 is the lower bound of a credit score. And then finally, I saved the best for last. The speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second. Okay, so we're going to end here on the speed of light, which is what this show is taking off at as we pass by 300.
Some great significant 300 numbers there, Chris. Thank you. And we have bowling from Luke Browning, the 300 score, which Bob Boozle holds.
Of course.
Boozle also says Luca and Zion are each about 300 pounds. Mike Rope says Chris's budget is tight after the SEL commission for Card Ladder. It's not that much, trust me, but it's appreciated. Josh, were you trying to jump in with something?
Well, 300 wins is significant in baseball.
Yeah. And it's very significant in hockey for goaltenders.
Yep.
Yep. It's significant in baseball for batting average, even, right? A 300 batting average is pretty kind of a barrier, right? Like
Sure.
Yeah.
You're a Hall of
Absolutely.
Famer. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay, guys. I'm kind of sad that I'm going to have to say goodbye to the chat right now, but this was fun. Bob Boozle, I have 300 problems, but a wife ain't one. The way you talk, though, I think your wife's like all 300 problems, no? Batting average. I just said it, Luke Browning. I beat you to it, Luke Browning. Batting average. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, this was fun. Appreciate everybody being here. If you are not yet on the hobby spectrum, please do go to thehobbyspectrum.com and request your early access code. Do that. And some cool new functionalities coming in the next, if maybe this week ahead, just depends on how fast my buddy Ed can get this thing built, this new feature, but he says he's going to get her done. So we're going to have that soon. I want to shout out Inferno Red Technologies as well, who are building it. And these guys are doing great work in the hobby. So if you have an idea for any technologically based hobby service product, you might want to reach out to Inferno Red Technologies. All right, guys, here on January the 24th, 2026, episode number 300 of Sports Cards Live is now over. All right, guys. And with that, thank you and good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in and being a part of the Sports Cards Live community. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and most of all, keep collecting. More great content to come. Sports Cards is a lifestyle.